two main things coming out of SmackDown. One is Charlotte beats Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a champion going into the three-way.
Mm-hmm.
And we finally have Kofi in his match with Daniel Bryan, and that was basically the whole second half of the show was the Kofi thing. So I think, based off of feedback that I've seen, the Charlotte thing came as a shock, and it
should have, because they didn't even plan it.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, it seemed to me that Charlotte was a little bit lost in the shuffle these last couple weeks, and even Becky sort of used it in the interview.
Right. Yeah, she did.
She said, at least Ronda's got a belt. What does Charlotte bring into the table?
Right. So I guess that her saying that probably was, one of the reasons they did this.
Yeah. So I found a lot of people very upset that Asuka got screwed out of her title, and now she doesn't have a title match at WrestleMania.
Well, it cuts it down from 17 matches to 16, which may be part of the story too. It may have just been that Vince counted the matches and said, we got too many matches now, what are we going to do? And it's like, well, we can get rid of this women's match, because God knows they haven't done anything for that match at all anyway. They were gonna make the match tonight, where Asuka was going to face the winner of a multi-person match, and they just scrapped everything. This is Vince, this decision was made at the last minute. It was literally made this afternoon or this morning. So, I heard about it a couple hours before the show. Not exactly. I wasn't told what was happening. I was only told that things are happening, and that would affect, the card. And obviously those were the matches that, the SmackDown women's title match is out, it looks like. Well, it is. It is out. And Charlotte's got the belt. So in some form, both belts are going to be in play in that main event. I don't know exactly they didn't really explain what it was, did they?
No.
That she won, and you're supposed to be left hanging, so they'll probably explain it on Monday, what it means, like how this all plays in. So they're probably keeping that secret for right now.
I don't think too many folks are jumping to this conclusion, but no way Asuka gets added to the match. It's just going to be the three-way.
No.
Okay.
No.
The other thing that's interesting...
I can't say no way. Maybe Vince will wake up tomorrow and say, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's not the plan. I know that, right now, yeah.
The thing that's interesting with the titles is, if it's just about who Becky pins, it's kind of, it makes it fairly, it should be predictable that Becky should win this match, but it just further cements that she's going to win, and it's going to be about who she's going to pin.
Does she win both belts, or does she just beat Ronda and win the Raw belt? And then Charlotte still got the SmackDown belt, and so she hasn't beaten Charlotte, so you have that going on, and you can either put them into the feud right away, which I doubt they would do, or keep them apart for a long time and build to something on a big show later. So, yeah.
So New Day kicked off the show. They did an interview in the ring, and they were teasing walking away because of how mistreated Kofi's been and the injustice. And they said Kofi's been mistreated for the past 11 years. Daniel Bryan came out, played up that Kofi doesn't deserve it. Then Vince came out, told everyone to shut up, and basically called New Day's bluff on quitting.
Yeah.
And said, you guys don't have it in you to quit, basically.
You're not going to quit. We know you're not going to quit. Yeah.
And so instead of putting Kofi through the ringer again, because he's done it and Kofi has come up short, he decided to put Big E and Xavier in a tag team gauntlet. And if they win the gauntlet, then Kofi gets to be in the match at WrestleMania. So 2 weeks of gauntlets in a row for us.
Yeah, I didn't find it. Okay, so from a storyline standpoint, I thought it was good, but from an entertainment standpoint, to me, I was really bored. It was just like another gauntlet. The matches were. It doesn't even matter if the matches are good or bad. They're, the Bar's a really good team, and that was fine. But it's just like it's a gauntlet where you know where it's going, and it takes a long time to get there. The only thing I found interesting was just how quickly they got rid of Gallows and Anderson. Like, if you didn't know those guys are gone, now you know. And the Usos thing was interesting where they wouldn't face him. But now, so here's another thing. We're now, a week and a half out, and the Usos were supposed to defend the tag team title. So what do we got? Because that was going to be, I'm presuming that was going to be done on tonight's show. And there's nothing.
I know what's going to happen. They're in the gauntlet next week.
There's another gauntlet next week?
Vince is mad at them for what they did. They're in the gauntlet. No, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
He may be. Who knows? Because I thought that the New Day wins the gauntlet and then they face the Usos. But the way the Usos backed out, I guess they could still do it, but it's like there's no heat there whatsoever.
Yeah. So the Becky interview that we just talked about brings out Charlotte and Asuka. Like Charlotte and Asuka are in the ring, and then they say it's for the title. The announcers seemed like really surprised, like they had no idea what was going on. I don't know if that was for real or not.
No, because that run sheet would have been done in the afternoon, so that wasn't for real.
Because it was a little weird that
I think they wanted
the match just happened.
I think that the way they presented it, I think that they wanted people to not know until the announcement was made. Yeah. Because it wasn't like the announcers go, "Hey, we've got a championship match coming up on the show." The way they sprung the championship match on was like, "Oh my God." So that was the worked idea of what they were trying to do.
They tried to have a good TV match.
It was all right. I didn't think it was. I wasn't close to their match at Mania, and
yeah, that's the problem. Is when you think about their match at Mania.
Yeah, but even as far as just it was not a great match. It was all right. I mean, the last couple minutes were good.
Yeah,
but it was
there was some creative stuff. Charlotte doing her moonsault, and then Asuka gets her in the rear naked choke from that. So there was some stuff like that, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was not that same match. And then Charlotte wins with the figure 8, and she is now
beats her clean. Yeah,
the 8-time champion.
Well, that's actually what got people mad because they're playing that up really big. So I guess that's part of the thing to get her over as a heel is the idea that she's won so many championships.
Do you think some of the reason why she lost a little bit is because Ronda just went so psycho heel and became the heel in the match, and Charlotte is now sort of became the, she was in no man's land a little bit when it came to who the fans were upset at.
I mean, everything in this program has constantly been shifted and changed. So, like, this is obviously a response to something in, however Vince woke up and, this idea now, the idea of this, the idea of both belts at stake or both belts involved in this match is not new, okay? But Vince decided to go with it today. I mean, it's not like somebody came up with this idea this afternoon and Vince goes, great idea. This has been around. I mean, it was around, I don't know. I mean, I remember someone actually sent me a thing, oh, what do you think of this idea? This would have been, and this wasn't even somebody important at all, but it was out. But the decision was made today. So, I mean, the people going like, well, there's no storyline build. There was nothing. Well, they weren't going to do it until today. So, yeah, how is there going to be a storyline build when you change direction again? I mean, if you don't like that, I mean, it's funny because it's like people will complain, about, all this. And it's like, you got 50 wrestling companies in the world and 30 of them are probably doing great right now with storylines and everything. So, if this is what WWE is going to be, and this is what it's going to be as long as Vince is around. You're going to have stuff. It's not going to make sense because it changes every week. This story's changed like God knows how many times. So has it cooled off? Has it gone off the rails and all this? Yeah, of course it has, because it's whatever the original thing was has changed constantly, and it's also hard to book in the sense that Becky was always the babyface in this. Well, I mean, obviously she became the babyface when they tried to turn her heel and it backfired. Mm-hmm. But since then, they went with her as a babyface rather than fight the fans. They tried to turn Charlotte heel on Ronda, and that didn't work. So, but they eventually got Charlotte as a heel because, and Ronda, They turned Ronda heel because the fans seemed to demand it, and that made no sense because the week before she was a super baby face. She got Becky in the match, which makes no sense as champion. So yeah, it just is what it is. It's like there's nothing I can say to make sense of it because it doesn't. It's just, and it's not gonna.
So you said the person who told you about this version of the story was not someone very important.
Not even on the writing team, not anyone like that. Just heard around that they might do both belts. At stake, which was the idea was batted around a ways back, but the decision was today. Yeah.
So the next match was Kurt against AJ. AJ did an interview before the match saying how proud he was to be Kurt's opponent, and this match lasted all of
90 seconds.
90 seconds.
What a disappointment! What a complete disappointment! It's almost like why even like advertise it and do it.
I wonder if Kurt maybe he wasn't feeling too hot after last night.
Oh, I'm sure he's not. I'm sure that's the reason because, yeah, it's really been a huge mistake for Kurt to be doing these TV matches because I think that the interest in his retirement match has gone way, way down every time you see him where it's just like, it's not a good feeling of like even when Ric Flair, who was much older than Kurt, he was still out there and he was doing matches. Kurt it's just sad to watch. So, and then he's going to work with Corbin, and that's if you're only doing 90 seconds with AJ, I know with the last match he'll probably do more because he doesn't have to save himself, but still, he's with Corbin. It ain't like it's with AJ, and why is he wrestling Ray next Monday? If he should be resting. So, I don't like the way that's been handled at all. I think that. When they realized that Kurt, Kurt shouldn't be taking, I know he didn't take a lot of punishment in the match tonight, but still, in another way, it just was a big downer, and it negatively affects. It doesn't positively affect it. You go from an AJ match, and then you're disappointed in the AJ match. You got a Joe match, you're disappointed in the Joe match. Now you got a Corbin match, and it's kind of like, well, if he's not having good matches with AJ and Joe, what's he going to have with Corbin?
So Orton hit AJ with the RKO, got disqualified. He was putting the boots to AJ, and then Kurt did an angle slam that kind of struggled through.
Yeah.
It wasn't clean. And then so the next segment was the Miz interview. We have babyface Miz, and he wants a Falls Count Anywhere match. Shane comes out, but he's got the barricade of WWE guys who they clearly want you to know who's at the bottom rung.
Sanity, Shelton Benjamin, and which was Primo Cologne? Or?
Primos, I think it was Primo
Cologne, yeah.
So those guys were out there to protect Shane. Shane cuts the promo on Miz, and the one line that makes Miz really mad after he's making fun of his dad, and the whole thing says his dad made his biggest Miz take, which was impregnating Miz's mom, and Miz could take no more after that line.
Yeah.
And so then Miz goes through all the guys, and he's just fighting babyface Miz, and he's going through all the guys, and they're attacking him, and he's diving into the audience, going over the barricade, does a dive on it, and Shane, I think, is trying to look concerned. Like, I think that's what he was trying to portray, like that he's concerned that Miz was going through all those guys, and he kind of walked away. I didn't like Miz. I thought Miz did a pretty good job, but he's still not as fluid as a babyface as he is when he does his heel stuff. It doesn't seem as natural, but he said some good stuff. It's just this is a little bit of
He's a good talker.
Yeah, but this feud is just not hot. It just feels down.
I think that I do think this feud. I mean, it's like really the only feud that's kind of like coherently put together. I mean, it's like if you look at it, there hasn't been any stuff that Shane's acting like a heel. Shane turned heel. They've said a lot of things that have should work, but I think that there's the whole thing of it's going to be Miz and Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
It's going to be
They're
a
gonna
real
have to have a match.
sloppy. They'll do a lot of gimmicks and everything. It probably, it may very well get over.
False count anywhere.
Yeah, falls count anywhere. So they'll do all kinds of stuff.
What's Shane going to dive off of this time?
Yeah, he's going to whatever. But it's also, I don't think it's going to be. I think a lot of stuff's going to look really clumsy and sloppy too.
Yeah, I feel like watching it, I'm like, I should be enjoying this a little bit more than I am, and there's just something that's missing. But the other thing is
it's the match payoff.
But I also really like them as a goofy babyface team, and I would rather see them do more goofy babyface stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know that you want, Shane as a wrestler every week on television. That'll get old. Plus, it's like you spend so much time on them, and what are you going to do? Do tag matches with them on every pay-per-view? I mean, there's, you know what I mean? I mean, how many times can Shane almost kill himself before he kills himself?
They could have been the last team in the gauntlet.
Yeah, that's true.
So the gauntlet was basically the rest of the show. So Big E and Xavier Woods have the match with Gallows and Anderson, like you said, 47 seconds. Anderson takes the up, up, down, down in 47 seconds. Do you know what the up, up, down, down stands for?
It's a video game thing.
Yeah.
From his channel.
When I was a kid, there was a game where when you started the game and you typed in up, up on your controller, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start, you got like unlimited lives or something. So that's what it comes from. And then their channel. So just goofy video game stuff. And then Nakamura and Rusev were the second team, and they beat Nakamura with the same finisher. And I mean, it wasn't fantastic. Nakamura just was there. They didn't really.
He's not
do too
doing
much.
anything. He's checked out. He's just out there to. He's just here to like. His family likes Florida. He's out there to surf, and he's kind of living on his kind of on his pension now. You know what I mean?
It's almost like he also understands when it's important, and then he will turn it up, and when it's not, he's just like, okay.
I don't think it's going to be anything important for a while because he's not doing anything. He's for a guy who used to be really over.
I mean, it's only been a year since he did the match with AJ, and that was the title match.
Yeah,
after winning the Royal Rumble.
Look how far he fell. The AJ. I think he had like, the AJ matches were generally disappointing.
Yeah.
I think he had one good one, and I mean they were all okay, but none of them hit the heights that people expected for them. And then from there, it's just been straight down. And him and Rusev as a team, it's one thing if they were a team and they were in the championship picture, but they're just a team that's, one of many teams. They're just kind of a team because they got nothing else. And, like the same thing. I mean, look at how far Rusev's fallen since they broke Aiden English off with him. And we talked about that before that ever happened.
Yeah.
They killed two guys rather than, by the decision killed both guys as opposed to being done for any reason other than who knows why. They just, sometimes they make, like, I remember like the saying is that they make changes, not necessarily good changes, but they change for change's sake. They think that we need to change. Even though the change isn't going to help anybody, we just need to change. It's like today. It's like Vince is like, whatever reason. I don't know if it was the ratings. I don't know if he feels WrestleMania is not strong. We need to change. So we had to change. And then people trying to like put all this like whatever in, meaning into it. There's no meaning. They needed to change. They didn't need to change. He wanted to change.
Before I forget this, and I don't even know why I remembered, but Rob Gronkowski retired from the NFL.
Right.
And he's been teased to do wrestling. He's been at WrestleMania before. Has there been any talk about him coming back?
I haven't heard anything, but I'm sure it's talked about. Yeah, it's only natural. If he wants to do it, he'll do it. It's not like they're gonna, if he's interested and they there's communication. He wants to do it, they'll do it for sure. It's good publicity for them. He got good pub the last time he did it, and he's, in some ways, I think he's because of the retirement, he's more newsworthy now. Or of course he was coming off the Super Bowl before too. So, but either way, but I guess he is this year too. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the third match in this gauntlet was against the Bar, and
That was the best match.
it was the best one, and it was the one that in which they were the Bar was winning the match, and then Woods rolled Sheamus up, and then they kept putting the boots to them after the match. Is this where Big E went through the table?
Yes.
Okay. So Big E goes to the table, and then the next match is the Usos. And previously, when Kofi was in the gauntlet last week, the Usos were cheering for him. They wanted him to win. And so the Usos come down. They're teasing that, they want to beat New Day. And then they basically say that they have respect for New Day. They have respect for Kofi, and they're forfeiting the match. And so I think as viewers, we're thinking like, okay, the champs are the destination. Kofi's in. Mm-hmm. But that was not the case. Daniel Bryan and Rowan are backstage kicking chairs. Daniel Bryan is using foul language such as bullcrap. He sidekicked the TV, and then they are the final team, Daniel Bryan and Rowan. And the New Day wins when Rowan is trapped underneath the announcer's table and gets counted out. So they win the last two matches on a forfeit and a count out, but Kofi Kingston is going to WrestleMania. And then they cut to Vince. He's getting in his limo. Vince says he's in the match, but he still calls him a B+ player. And then the entire babyface locker room comes out to cheer on Kofi and applaud him. Even guys like Kevin Owens and Mustafa Ali, who I don't think have matches, single matches at least, at WrestleMania. So they were very happy for him, even though he kind of took their spot.
And even Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch, the number one babyface, she was out there cheering for Kofi.
I think, wasn't Asuka out there too?
I didn't see her.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone else was.
And that was it. It was a very simple show, but it felt like at the end of the day, we knew Kofi was getting in. We knew they were trying to tell this long, like, weaving story. But to me, it was like a TV show on Netflix that is probably best at like 4 episodes, and they extend it to like 12.
Yeah, but we got 52, and it's just how it is.
Yeah.
That's just how it's going to be. I mean, there's going to be an episode every week, for better or for worse, whether this, But you're right about the one thing. When they... You know what? I don't think it's so much the time, because longer build to me is good, but I think the mentality is that you have to have an angle every week, so you over angle your feuds. I think that's the problem when you have like 3 months. They have to do the same promos, and they have to, instead of just doing generic promos and leave it at that, and just saving the hard sell for like the last 2 weeks. Just kind of like, it's there, and then really hit it hard the last 2 weeks. They try to hit it hard every week and try to have a twist every week. And I think by doing that, by the time you get to your destination, you've lost interest. I don't say lost interest, but you're not peaking. I don't think anything, Miz and Shane maybe will peak. Reigns and McIntyre didn't feel that strong to me. I mean, Lesnar and Rollins, I don't know. Rollins just lost on TV. They have. I think Rollins and Lesnar have to have something big on Monday to really hammer that one home. Because right now it's okay, but it doesn't feel like WrestleMania main event either.
Yeah. The Rock and Brock Lesnar storyline from 2002.
Mm-hmm.
That is a memorable one where I don't remember them being in the ring together in that build very often. I just remember like some training videos, and like
right.
They were using video packages really effectively, and it didn't feel like they burnt the whole thing out before it got there.
They did big business for that. I mean, they did a strong pay-per-view.
I'm trying to remember if am I remembering that right? Was like Rock not on TV all that often or something?
I don't remember what it was, but I certainly remember the training videos. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was one that I remember when I think of like what to do when the guys aren't there all the time or whatever,
Yeah.
Because you don't have Lesnar there every week.
Maybe that's maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Maybe you learn from that.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of SmackDown?
Let me see. I thought the 6-man tag with Ricochet and Aleister Black and Mustafa Ali against Rusev, Nakamura, and Andrade was a real good match. Aside from that, we had a lot of we had the promos with the Becky Lynch promo, being all happy that she won her championship. We got the Kofi Kingston one. They again against the Bar with their friend Drew McIntyre. So did you see that Drew McIntyre match? Did you see how Drew McIntyre disappeared into thin air?
He did just vanish there at the end.
Yeah, okay. So I was watching the show and I saw him disappear into thin air. So I just thought, well, I don't believe he's a magician, so there must be something to this. So I thought maybe he got hurt in the commercial break and they just didn't want to tell you. But in fact, he was not hurt at all. It was booked that way. Now, everything went exactly like it was supposed to go. This is the idea, I'm not even knocking the idea. I'm just telling you what the idea was. The idea was that because Drew McIntyre lost at WrestleMania to Roman Reigns, the management felt it's very important to protect Drew McIntyre because, they need him to be a top guy. Now, and Sheamus and Cesaro were going to lose the match. So they didn't want Drew McIntyre anywhere near visible, seen, even on the losing side of a 6-man tag. They didn't want him there. So the idea is that when you watch the finish of the match and Kofi Kingston pins, I think it's Sheamus with the Trouble in Paradise, you forget that Drew McIntyre's even in the match. And therefore he's not hurt.
Dave,
so yes.
One of the big problems with this company is right now, they just fucking overthink everything. It's not hard.
Well, that's what happens when you have so many writers. By the way,
By the way,
we didn't talk about this yet, which is actually pretty big news.
Let me finish this first. If you don't want Drew in a match he's going to lose, then put someone else in the match. Instead of just not putting him in the match, they had to come up with some convoluted idea where he's going to fucking vanish. He's going to disappear, and we're going to forget he's in the match because he vanished, and thus he won't be hurt by being on the losing team. This is ludicrous. Does anyone stop and actually just think about what they're saying? That's ridiculous. Just don't put him in the stupid match. Why does everything have to be overthought?
Maybe they couldn't come up with somebody else that they thought the people would stay to watch.
There's no one else on the roster that can team with Sheamus and Cesaro in a random main event with the New Day.
Who was there? I don't know. I have to look at the roster real quick.
I can look at the roster, but I'm pretty sure there's somebody. Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe was already booked. He already had something else to do.
He had a 1-minute match that wasn't needed on the show.
Yeah, but they especially because because they shot an angle with him and Braun Strowman. They don't want him in that position either.
Okay, well they shouldn't have put him in that position then.
They didn't put him in that position.
They should have had him do a match.
No, the idea was he would choke out R-Truth, and then Braun Strowman would come in, and they would go back and forth, and neither would get the better of the other one really. And now I don't know if
they're on different brands.
Well, we don't know. They might end up on the same brand next week. Ugh. By the way, nobody knows. I mean, literally, I talked to a couple of guys today, and they don't know where they're going next week. Nobody knows. And that's not unusual. That happens every year. I mean, literally, these guys are going to find out. Is my schedule changed? If my kids are playing football, am I going to be able to be home on Fridays, or am I not going to be able to be home on Fridays? I don't know until they wave their magic wand, and I got to watch the TV, and half the guys are going to have to wait for the second day because you're only going to get half the change on the first day. So
we had SmackDown on a Tuesday night,
that's the life of a
there was some interesting stuff on the show. Thought the Bayley segment was actually really good. That the Bayley Charlotte match was real good. I like that. I actually like that match more than the Kofi Kingston Nakamura match, which I thought was very good. They were about the same, really. They were very different, but I actually liked. I guess maybe because there was a finish, but Bayley and Charlotte was, it wasn't smooth, but they got away with it by the fact that they were really intense, and they were they're out there, and they gave the aura that they were really fighting for this championship fight. It wasn't like the smoothest thing, but it felt like a fight, and it felt like they both really wanted it. Both of those women had a lot of intensity that you don't see
too much from the guys or the women on the show. And I thought that was really good, and it got the crowd into it. And Bayley was cheered completely. So Montreal was what Montreal was, and
well, she was also significantly better as far as her performance prior to the match, and she was a clear babyface, positioned as a total babyface and a badass. It was the best thing I've seen Bayley do, and I don't even know how long.
I agree. I thought Bayley was really good. I thought that Charlotte was really good, especially towards the end. When it really got to the last couple of minutes, they looked like they were fighting for something. And it very rarely feels like anyone's fighting for anything, which is one of the flaws of the product. It just feels like people are play fighting too often. And they did the Kevin Owens turn. So the Kevin Owens turn was something that was decided on when Daniel Bryan went down. So this would have been like, a couple days after Mania. Owens was not when they did all those vignettes and everything of him with his son, in the movie theater and everything. It was not to bring him back and then to turn him, to like give you a couple of weeks of him as a babyface and then turn him right away. I mean, he was supposed to come back as a babyface, but what happened was Daniel Bryan went down and they were not confident. Whatever it is what it is. They were not confident of him back. He's not, he was supposed to wrestle Kofi Kingston on this next pay-per-view. I guess the mentality is he's not going to be back for the pay-per-view, and they needed someone for the pay-per-view, and they looked around, and Kevin Owens was the guy they picked. So
what was funny about it was when he joined the New Day, allegedly, I mean, I think pretty much everybody figured he's probably going to turn on Kofi. And
he did.
He did. And what was interesting about it, and actually,
I didn't expect it in 1 week, though.
But you know what? I wouldn't have done it in 1 week. But because they...
Oh, neither would I.
Because they did it in the first week, I was totally caught off guard. It actually was a huge shock to me when he super kicked the guy, because it was so quick. I mean, ideally, they should have... I mean, there's 4 weeks until the next pay-per-view. I have no idea why they couldn't go at least another week with this.
I think they could have done another... I think they could have done another week.
They could have done a week, probably even 2 weeks, actually. But they actually figured they needed 3 weeks of build.
They could have done 2 weeks. Yeah, because the thing with the pay-per-views now is that it and I think we learned this, is that it's all the last week. It's not a thing anymore where, especially with the with no price tag involved, it's all the last week. So you don't have to get that lineup out like for a month and hammer people for a month on it anymore. So you can wait till late and still pull it off.
And not only if you watch the build.
But I guess, here's the thing, though. They have nothing but if they don't do it, every week they don't do it, they've got nothing for Kofi. So I think that they just felt they wanted something for Kofi, because Kofi would just have to be out there twiddling his thumbs until he's got an opponent. So I think that's probably the reason why they just said, let's just do it right away.
Well, if you watch the WrestleMania build, for example, with Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda, I mean, it was so overcomplicated because they had so much time between the Royal Rumble and Mania.
Okay, here's the thing. You're right. You're 100% right. And there is something to the fact that all those months make it tough. But they made it a lot worse by veering off the storyline every single week.
Yes.
That if they had stuck to the original storyline, we may be talking very different.
Sure.
I mean, that's. I mean, it still may have been too long, and probably was, but. When you take all those key elements out of the storyline and then try to regroup, if they didn't have that great segment on the last week with the car thing, I mean, it had really lost a lot of steam. That last week brought it back, but
my point is, if you look at the way that they book their storylines when they have extended time, I mean, the one thing about the turn last night was Kevin Owens superkicked Kofi Kingston. And nobody cheered. Like, sometimes you'll see the fans all cheer because they saw a turn. They saw something special.
We saw something, but also I think being in Des Moines helped too.
Well, whatever it was.
I think if this was in New York, I think people would have cheered.
But the point of this is he is a great heel, and the people really love Kofi. And so to me, him delivering that super kick, honest to God, that's all you need to get this pay-per-view going. That's all you need. He could have done it 2 weeks before, super kicked the guy. The next week you announced a match for the pay-per-view that Sunday, and everything would have been fine. With 4 months between now and the pay-per-view, I worry about pancakes and having to trade wins and losses and all of this other stuff that's going to take me out of what I was actually very excited about last night.
Well, we'll see. But if they get involved pancakes, I wouldn't be too happy with that. If they're in a match together, in any kind of a tag match together, I think that's a dumb idea. They should not be in the same ring together. Trading wins or not trading wins. I don't care if it's a tag match where Kevin Owens beats him. They shouldn't even be in the same ring together as far as like a match. Not until the pay-per-view.
Jinder Mahal is now on SmackDown. They alerted us that the shakeup is still happening. 4 shows after it started.
Yeah. So Jinder's in. Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel are on SmackDown.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. And Nikki Cross is on Raw.
Yes.
So they've told me that. And Killian Dane, nobody knows. And
where's Bray Wyatt?
Nobody knows.
So he's undrafted until he debuts somewhere?
Until they figure him out, how they're going to do him. Yeah. He's not on the list right now for either brand. So is there anybody else? Jinder Mahal, the Sings, and Dallas and Axel. Those are the ones that we didn't know about. And Cesaro, of course, which we did know about. And Sheamus, we don't know because we don't know when he's coming back. I think that's pretty much it. So now Jeff Hardy. So the Hardys are the tag team champions, and I think that I've heard 2 different stories, but essentially they have to figure out what they're going to do with the tag team championship because Jeff's hurt. So
hurt bad enough that he's not coming back anytime soon, it sounds like.
One version is that he's going to have knee surgery, or actually I wasn't told where. I was told one version was he's going to have surgery this coming week, and the other version is he's banged up and we don't know how bad. But in both versions, it looks like they're going to have to do something. So will they bring him back and have him do a match and lose the championship on Tuesday? I don't know. Will they just strip him of the title? Will they, whatever. They're going to have to make a decision on that, what they're going to do with the tag team titles probably this week.
What do you think of the SmackDown show?
As a show itself, it was fine. I don't think there was anything that was super intriguing. They announced the participants in the Money in the Bank. It's so on the SmackDown side with the men, it's Balor, Ali, Randy Orton, and Andrade, which is fine, no problem there. The women are Sonya Deville, no, Mandy Rose, Bayley. Who are the other 2? I don't have it in front of me. Shows how Carmella, and who's the other one?
Mandy Rose, Bayley, Carmella. What the hell is the last one?
Shows how interested I am at this stage.
Carmella, Ember Moon, Mandy Rose, Bayley.
Ember Moon. Right. Yeah. Okay. Oh, by the way, Daniel Bryan's should be back on TV imminently. Daniel Bryan was at TV on Tuesday and he was cleared.
Oh, there you go.
So he's available. He's available for work this coming Tuesday. I don't know that he'll be on. They may wait till after the pay-per-view, or they may, given the ratings, I'm going to guess that they're going to have him.
Damn, I hope he's back.
Yeah, I know, really. So he'll probably get involved in the Kofi Kingston program as well. They may even switch that match to a 3-way. I know that's on the European tour. They're going to, tentatively on the European tour, they're doing the 3-way as the main events on that tour. So it may end up being a 3-way program.
All right, so we had the Kofi thing at the beginning.
Yeah, Kofi and Kevin Owens. That's what it was. The
Becky and Bayley was good.
Yeah, it was a good match. They had a good match. The Roman Reigns B team thing was psychologically very good in the sense that they got everyone to cheer Roman Reigns a lot by putting him against all odds with Shane, Elias, and the B team all against him, while allowing him, because they don't protect the B team at all, nor should they, to look really strong against them. So that was a very effective piece of business, as they say.
But it was Roman Reigns versus the B team.
Yeah, I know.
1.8 million viewers.
Yeah. Jeff Hardy. So Jeff Hardy's getting reconstructive knee surgery, out 9 months most likely, and they vacated the belts. The reason they didn't say what they're going to do with the belts is because they got no idea what they're going to do with the belts. They got to figure that out now. Even though I figured, since I knew a week ago that they got to vacate it, that in a week they would come up with an idea. But they've had other more pressing things and have not come up with an idea.
Dude, it would take 2 minutes. Let's all sit down for 2 minutes and figure out what are we going to do with the tag titles.
Well, we're going to have a
What do
tournament.
you think? Tournament?
We're going to have a tournament with 4 teams: the Clones, Heavy Machinery, Nakamura and Rusev, and who's the other bad team? The B team.
Okay. Shitty lineup, but hey, we got to figure it out. Tournament.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to say that they should probably just do Nakamura and Rusev against Heavy Machinery, because that's the only teams they got, unless they bring somebody up from NXT.
Well, there you go. Done. Finished.
What a weak tag team division.
It's
probably the weakest tag team division in a long, long time.
Well, the Superstars Showcase might still be going on, or whatever they call it, so maybe some teams will switch again on Tuesday.
They can bring Anderson and Gallows back.
Yeah, why not?
There's no reason not to.
There you go.
There's no reason not to. Bring the Usos back. Probably not going to do that one, though.
All right, any other thoughts on the show?
Let's see. We had, what else? Kairi Sane and Asuka won a squash. That Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville thing. I wonder where that one's going. And then...
I don't know, but what a prestigious Money in the Bank when Sonya Deville just hands over her spot to Mandy Rose.
Well, she didn't necessarily have it. Only one of them got it, and she was being... But yeah, she just handed it over. Yeah, like it was nothing. That'll probably play into something down the line, like when Mandy Rose double crosses her or something. Maybe. Or maybe they'll just forget it, and it'll never go anywhere. And then, let's see, Balor and Ali against Orton and Andrade. It's fine. It was good. It was good, but yeah, it was good. And I kind of got a kick out of Kevin Owens talking to the dolls with the
yeah, but that's the main event of the show.
I know.
Kevin Owens is talking to 2 dolls.
Yeah, but I like the idea that Big E's action figure had his knee all wrapped up from surgery. I thought that was kind of clever. But yeah, aside from that, that was pretty much the show.
Okay, I guess we should talk about SmackDown. I thought SmackDown was a less haphazard version of Raw. It didn't seem
SmackDown was a good show.
Yeah, I thought it was better organized, but it felt like the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, that main event with Kofi King. You know, one of the things, and it points out a lot, and I guess it's a necessary evil the way television is, but it is so annoying, these commercial breaks in the middle of these matches. I mean, it's not like this is a new thing, but it's like if you're doing like a straight high spot match and just woo woo woo, I think in that kind of a match you can take the break, everyone can sit around and do nothing, and then the camera's back on, then they go in there and do more spots. That's okay, but when you're trying to teach people to do psychology based matches and you're cutting 4 minutes out twice, like in the Daniel Bryan Kofi Kingston match last night, where you had the 4 minutes, basically 8 out of whatever it was, 8 out of 15 minutes was cut out, and they're trying to do this match that makes sense. That just kills it. But the match with Kingston and AJ and Sami Zayn, I thought was a better match. I thought AJ was on fire, actually. It was one of the better AJ matches. Sami Zayn's a really good worker, even though...
He didn't die.
I was amazing, his recovery from dying to showing up in the first segment of the next show with no real explanation.
He didn't die, but they said that he still had the stench of the garbage disposal.
Yep, nothing but that he smells bad. And they were trying to get people to chant, what is it, take a shower, which they did a little bit at first, and then there were like 10 people doing it in the main event, and yeah, you had that. You get the Shane and Miz stuff still going on. Everything else was pretty much standard stuff. Put Randy Orton
They picked
over.
a tag team that you didn't expect.
Yeah, tag team titles. So it's Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan beat the Usos. That match was good too.
I like that match.
Yeah, that match was good.
The Usos. I wish WWE would push tag teams because the Usos
they got a good act, and they're really good.
They have a lot of. Both the guys have charisma,
and they're really good in the ring. Their timing's good. They do high risk stuff. I mean, it's the Usos always crack me up when I watch them, especially now, because they do everything that the WWE fans that don't like the Indies would complain about. The Usos do every one of those things, but you don't hear people go, "Oh, they don't know how to work," and they do. Though obviously they're really good, but it's just kind of humorous double standard.
Did you want to run down the show?
No, we kind of did. So we can go.
It's up to you. We don't have to. If you
AJ came out and they set up the Sami Zayn came out. So here's the thing. Also, like this week. So one of the things about this week's TV is which made this wild card thing. What's the word I'm looking for? Made it possible, probable, whatever. Is that they weren't, because they didn't know who they were switching brands with. All of the travel and all those arrangements and all those cards in the UK were with the old group of guys. Mm-hmm. So like Roman Reigns couldn't have been on this show and Finn Balor couldn't have been on the show anyway because they flew out Monday night to go to Belfast.
Yep.
Because the old brands, for the most part, are what's being done at least the first week of the UK tour, because that's what's advertised and everything like that, and that's what
how are the ticket sales for that?
The UK tour?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. We'll find out. I haven't, because the last UK tour. Because it was cut down in dates and they played bigger buildings, the average was actually up. But as far as drawing in the buildings compared to usual, it was way down. And I haven't heard. I guess we'll find out how that's going to do. But like AJ and Sami Zayn and these guys were, going to be on the Smackdown tour anyway. And so it made, so them being on the show makes sense. I mean, I guess that,
if the wild card thing wasn't explained, then what show was, what were they going to be able to do tonight?
They probably would have had, they weren't going to have, they may have just brought those guys on the show anyway, just because they needed some talent on the show. Because, you take AJ and Sami Zayn off the show. You don't got much of a show.
We're probably going to have another hour-and-a-half gauntlet match.
Yeah, really. Yeah, so they set up that match. Then we had Ali and Andrade, which was essentially a commercial break. And then they came right back from the commercial, and Randy Orton laid both of them out with RKOs. Shane McMahon announced that Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan were the new tag team champions out of nowhere. And then the Usos came out, and they complained about how you can't hand guys belts. You got to earn the belts. Shane, you even knew. And, they basically goaded themselves into a championship match. And Bryan and Rowan won a good match. After a million super kicks, Eric Rowan pinned Jay with a claw slam after Bryan gave Jimmy a running knee on the floor. Shane was doing another promo for absolutely no reason. I don't even know what he was going to talk about. And then Miz just attacked him, so they brawled, and the B team helped Shane, so they're like his emissaries, but Miz beat both of them up. And then it allowed Shane to hit Miz in the back with a chair. And, so Bryan, Bryan and Eric Rowan, I guess, are going to do a program with Heavy Machinery.
He mentioned the... What did he say? They're the Planet's
tag team champions,
and that they may need to get new belts.
Are they getting new belts?
Well, no, you made a comment about the belts. I know he did.
Yeah. Then Ember Moon and Carmella lost to Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville real quick, 2 minutes and 18 seconds when Mandy Rose pinned Ember Moon. Just a quick match, and then Paige came out with Asuka and Kairi Sane, and they announced Asuka and Kairi Sane against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville on next week's TV. Like, of all the things to promote, but it's something, I guess. And then Matt Hardy did an interview, and R-Truth came out, and then Lars was there, and Lars threw Matt through a door and powerbombed R-Truth through a table. So he's still a monster. And Kayla Braxton ran away when she saw Lars. And then we had main event, which was a real good match. Real, like I said, real good match. Finish was Kevin Owens came out to help Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn gave him 3 Blue Thunder bombs, and Kofi Kingston kicked out of all 3. And then Kofi Kingston came back and hit the Trouble in Paradise on Sami Zayn, pinned him clean, retained the title, and he did a promo talking about Kevin Owens for Money in the Bank.
And the crowd did not even care when he mentioned that match.
No, they didn't.
Which, unfortunate, because I think a lot of people want to see Kofi sort of catch fire, and he never really caught fire or stayed hot after he won the title.
But I didn't think he would.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to either.
And, that's one of those things like that the old Vince would have looked at that and just gone, I'm not going to do it. Which isn't saying he's right or wrong, but he wouldn't have in the past. And this time he's doing it, but I'm sure he's still thinking the same way, that like, well, it's not going to work. And once you have that mentality, it's probably not going to work.
Not completely off tangent, but you talked about Andrade. Andrade drew real money when he was wrestling in Mexico.
Oh, yeah, he was a real star. He was a superstar there.
And I think one of the things that's sort of lacking today in WWE is like a real star that people could get behind.
Yeah.
Like how come they don't see him in that light? It doesn't count because it wasn't in WWE, but it's like he's got a track record of being able to draw.
A lot of guys have. Nakamura had a track record.
Nakamura,
and Nakamura was over for a long time, and they, and some of that's on Nakamura. A lot of that's on Nakamura. Nakamura, obviously came here for a vacation.
I know. Vacation. My friend calls him Lazy Mura.
Yeah, I mean it's he beat up his body in Japan, and I think that he knew that it was like, okay, I need to give my body a rest.
Guaranteed money.
So I'm going to come here, and the standard's not as high, and which is funny because he's not even up to this standard, but he's just he's out here surfing surfing on his days off and having fun and getting paid good money, and obviously no drive to be a top guy.
Yeah.
Because if he wanted to be a top guy, I mean, he would up his game, and he doesn't feel the need to do that.
What were the major things on Smackdown for tonight?
I liked Smackdown. Let me get my notes here. They've added Daniel Bryan and hold on. Let's get Smackdown. They've added Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan against the Usos as a pre-show match.
That's a weird one for a pre-show.
Well, Daniel Bryan should never be in a pre-show.
No.
Honestly, I think the Usos should never be in a pre-show. Those guys are great, but Daniel Bryan in a pre-show to me is ridiculous. Of course, when this card was put together, originally they didn't know they were going to have Daniel Bryan. It was going to be, Daniel Bryan was originally going to be actually in the main event, with Kofi. Until they had to move Kevin Owens there because of the situation with Daniel Bryan, where they didn't think he was going to be on the card. They didn't think he was going to come back as quick. So, we had Roman Reigns and The Miz as the two big baby faces to open the show, getting in a brawl with Shane McMahon and Elias. And then Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan joined them. And then the Usos kind of made the save. So it was kind of like you looked at and you expected a 4-on-4 match, but it ended up being a 4-on-3 because Shane McMahon banned The Miz from the match, saying that if The Miz came out, the cage match was canceled. In fact, he did come out and the cage match wasn't canceled, but he came out after the match was over. So I guess that was technically allowable or something. They did a 4-way with Randy Orton, Ali, Finn Balor, and Andrade, which ended with Andrade pinning Finn Balor with a hammerlock DDT. So even though Finn Balor has already beaten Andrade, I think we're going back to Finn Balor and Andrade for the Intercontinental. Lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of backing right now of Andrade as far as a character.
Good.
This match was very good, by the way. Everybody looked good. I think that this ladder match, the men's ladder match, is going to be awesome when you look at the different people who are in it. With the Ricochet, who I think that they're gonna make him look good in this one. Ali is probably going to be really good. Andrade, Randy Orton, of course, won't be out there high flying, but Randy Orton's quality wrestler for sure. Then Ricochet actually did a run in on the show, so he showed up and basically did springboard on the ladder and knocked who was it, Andrade, off the ladder. The fans were pretty into that. Aleister Black has a very unique interview style. They did a lot of video package for Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. They've been doing more video packages, which is interesting because that was kind of a suggestion that I made. I remember. I think it makes they're really good at video packages, and I think that they're a lot better than bad interviews. Bad interview segments, I'd rather the video package. I don't know that they're as good for ratings, though. But sometimes, there's this mentality that maybe sometimes you sacrifice like a few minutes of ratings to build up to make stars, because in the long run, it's kind of like, putting money in the bank or whatever, like you building for the future. So we had the 4-on-3, which was Shane, Daniel Bryan, Eric Rowan, and Elias against Roman Reigns and the Usos. And this long match, Roman Reigns, Shane McMahon pinned Jay with Coast to Coast, and then The Miz came out after with a chair, and he cleaned house. Roman Reigns ended up hitting Rowan with a spear while everybody else ran off. As far as the match goes, it was a pretty darn good match. You got the Usos, Daniel Bryan in there, Roman Reigns. It was good. Paige came out, big pop in London. She announced that Kairi Sane and Asuka are now the Kabuki Warriors. I hate that name, by the way. I just think it's like such a... They didn't need a name, but if they were going to get a name, it's like, don't we have like... we don't have Viking Warriors, we have Viking Raiders. Yeah. But I don't know. I think that name is just like too goofy.
Well, they couldn't do like the Kabuki Express or anything because it's too. It's too much of like a throwback to what they used to do.
Right. So then we had Asuka and Kairi Sane beat Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, which I thought was a good match. Asuka looked really good here, and she pinned Mandy Rose to win it with the cradle, kind of out of nowhere. Kayla Braxton went to interview Lars Sullivan. She asked him some questions. She decided not to wait for an answer. She ran away. He never said a word. He just stood there, and she's really short, so he looked really gigantic. And then the final...
He's not going to be like a creeper guy, is he, based on this kind of stuff? Like, I don't know. Just, it's weird to have this very large man intimidate this diminutive woman to where she just decides to run away and he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I do think they want to be a movie monster, though.
I guess.
I think, isn't that kind of the character, at least for now? Then it's supposed to be the Kevin Owens show with Kofi Kingston. Kevin Owens had cut a promo from the back and vowed to injure Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston came out throwing the pancakes. Kevin Owens did not come out, and fans were chanting the Kofi show. Kofi cut a promo. Kevin Owens was on the screen, just talking about the match, saying reality comes Sunday. Kofi was tired of hearing him talk, wanted him to come out. Kevin Owens came out, walked out twice. They ended up brawling in the aisle. And then Sami Zayn showed up and helped him. Xavier Woods came out. They had a big brawl. It ended up with the segment ended up with Kofi Kingston hitting Trouble in Paradise on Sami Zayn after Kevin missed a cannonball on Kofi Kingston. So, yeah, overall, I thought pretty much every segment was good. So yeah, definitely better show than Monday. So, and the other thing that we found out is, remember when Roman Reigns got leukemia, there were rumors going around that he wasn't going to go, but obviously he's going.
Yeah. I understand bringing somebody back like Dolph, but they have so many guys, especially the guys who were in that match in the Money in the Bank. You could have put any one of those guys in a match with Kofi, and it would have been really good. Why Dolph?
I think they have no faith in I mean, like, so Finn Balor and Andrade are already against each other, so that takes them out of the mix. Ray's hurt, although Ray wrestled Samoa Joe.
Ali beat Andrade today.
Ali beat Andrade, although Andrade's challenging for the title, so that makes absolutely no sense. But it's his turn, because didn't Ali lose or something? And
but I mean, I would enjoy Ali and Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, you could do that, but I don't think, especially for Saudi Arabia. I guess it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's like,
You're going to get a good match.
Yeah, you get a good match. Yeah, you could do that. Maybe they just don't have the faith in. That'd be Vince's call. But then again, Vince has never been high on Dolph Ziggler either.
Yeah, that's the part that I don't get.
Yeah, I don't think Vince is high on a lot of people right now. So now the people who he doesn't see, maybe he all of a sudden he gets high on those people because they're like real stars, and these young millennials can't get over. And so now all of a sudden, now that Dolph Ziggler's been gone for several months after being buried for like 10 years, maybe he thinks that like, he's a bigger star than, I mean, who else is there though? Because I guess, I mean, you're not really limited to a brand. I mean, you could put, I don't think they want to go with McIntyre. I just don't think that's in Vince's cards. Corbin's, is Corbin on? Corbin may be wrestling AJ Styles on that show.
I mean, I guess I would have said Ricochet before these last 2 weeks.
Well, you can see how they booked Ricochet. It's not going to be Ricochet. I mean, I could have seen that too, and then at least you would get a really wild match.
Aleister Black.
Yeah, he's disappeared. Well, he does those interviews, but yeah, he hasn't wrestled since.
Did you see the Zelina Vega video on Twitter today?
I did not.
I think it was from today. So she's got a video of herself. I don't know if she's doing her hair or she's smiling or something. And then Xavier Woods kind of sneaks over her shoulder and smiles. Mm-hmm. And then Aleister Black sneaks over and just stares at him. And Woods gets scared and runs away.
That's kind of funny.
But that was the first time I've seen Aleister Black in forever.
Well, he did an interview last week on Smackdown.
That's right.
But yeah, he hasn't been in the ring. Yeah.
So, what did you think of?
So it was, let me see, it was 2,522,000 viewers. So it was the best since April 15th. And the big comeback, so it did better with women, teenagers. Guy teenagers were down. Males 35-49 way up. Under 35 overall, pretty much the same as last week, which was a record low. I mean, well, no, last week wasn't a record low, but last week was somewhat low. So, yeah, that's kind of like the story on the ratings.
What did you think of SmackDown?
It was a show. I don't know. There was nothing. Ali and Andrade I thought was really good. But
I like the women's tag as well.
It was fine. It was all right. Yeah, I don't know. It was, Roman Reigns and Elias was Roman Reigns and Elias. Becky Lynch did a good promo. So I guess they're certainly teasing the idea of Becky Lynch and Bayley, which obviously is not going to happen in Saudi Arabia. But maybe that's going to happen on the next pay-per-view. Probably will happen on the next pay-per-view. So it's something new for Becky Lynch. And what else? Kofi Kingston, Sami Zayn, was all right. And that was the
they had Dolph lay him out.
Almost a stretcher job. I mean, they had him on the stretcher, and then at the end he got up and walked off on his own power.
Yeah. And then they brought back Big E. But then they
didn't really do anything with him. Yeah,
they laid him out.
Yeah. Well, they did a deal with Phantom layout, right?
Were we supposed to think it was Owens?
Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be Owens, and then with the idea that Woods, it was the explanation on why they could lay out, Kofi Kingston with the idea the other guys weren't around. So that's all. It makes sense. That's more work than to try to make sense than they usually do.
Yeah, and then McIntyre laid out Reigns at the end of that match.
Right.
So is that like Shane's? I don't know. It seems like Shane's is that his crew?
Well, McIntyre definitely. So I think where we're going is Roman Reigns and Shane are going to be wrestling, and McIntyre's going to get involved, which would probably lead. It was originally going to be Roman Reigns against Elias and Shane. So I think now it's probably going to be Roman Reigns against Shane and McIntyre, or Roman Reigns and Miz against Shane and McIntyre, depending on how they want to structure that, that program. I think it'll be a little bit of both.
Dolph's promo.
Should have been me.
Was he? I couldn't understand the tone. Like what? At first, I thought he was just making fun of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then he was serious the whole time. So I'm thinking, like, where's the punchline? Where's the punchline? Where's the punchline? And then he was serious. Like, it was a weird delivery.
Yeah.
Was he trying to act? Like, is he acting? Like, what is? Like, I just didn't get the whole thing.
I didn't either. I mean, it's kind of like, it should have been me. It should have been me. So that was the idea behind it.
It was just this weird delivery, this weird voice, like weird, like he wasn't even upset. He was like, I don't know, the whole thing. I was just confused by it.
Yeah.
Did you hit all the big spots of that show?
I think so. I don't really think there were a lot of big spots. It was just kind of a show.
So it opened up with Brock coming. Actually, they had an awesome Memorial Day video, which was actually the best thing on the entire show.
Yeah. That's the ones. Whenever they do history stuff, I really like it because it's usually really, because a lot of it is real. It's his history, I think, that is good for people to know. And the Memorial Day Open thing was great.
So, Brock's backstage. We have a recap of Kofi getting destroyed on SmackDown. Kofi comes out throwing pancakes, and he basically explains what we just saw in the video. Usual babyface promo. Dolph didn't finish the job. I'm still here. When the time is right, I will address him, but tonight I want Brock, and I want him to come out and cash in that contract on me. So Seth comes out. He says, no, I want him to cash in on me. They're both fighting to see who Brock is going to cash in on. Brock comes out, and one of the rare gems on this show is Brock Lesnar with his new boombox briefcase.
Yeah, that was really good. That was like one of those things that was like one of those accidents where he just held the briefcase like that, like a boombox, and people all over social media picked up on it, and they just went with it. Brock was tremendous. It was almost like it was a reinvention of Brock to a degree. And when I was watching, I go like, Brock could get over as a pretty cool character. The only problem is that
he's supposed to be a heel.
Well, he's supposed to be a heel, but but also he's still got very limited dates. I mean, you can't, what I'm saying? It's like whatever Brock does to get over. The fact is that that's in 3 weeks. That's not really going to matter because once this next pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia is over, is Brock even going to be around until like a couple weeks before SummerSlam? Because usually, that's the usual schedule is he'll do Saudi Arabia and then he'll disappear and then he'll come back and do maybe a couple TVs to build up his SummerSlam match. And then, and then he's probably gone till whatever, Survivor Series or whatever, one of the big shows at the, later in the year.
So he comes out and he's dancing and he's playing around with his boombox and the Beast Box, they call it. He's got a Brock Party t-shirt on. And Seth gets pissed and he just leaves. So Kofi demands Brock cash in, and Brock says, I'm having a party. So Paul says to Brock, or he says, we're going to announce tonight who we're going to cash in against, but Seth ruined the party, so we're out of here. And they leave. Dolph Ziggler then comes out, starts beating up Kofi, lays him out on the ramp. They go to commercial. They come back, and now Ziggler is beating up Xavier Woods. So
back and forth. So I was sure they would do a Dolph Ziggler Xavier Woods match sometime on this 3-hour show.
Nope.
Which in fact didn't happen. So they'll do it on Smackdown tomorrow. But you could think, just watching this, that we were going to get that match, and Dolph Ziggler will probably try to injure Xavier Woods, and Kofi will save, which would be basic wrestling. And it's so simple. And by saying that, I got this feeling like nothing of the sort's going to happen.
All I know is they came back, and he starts beating on him. And he's beating on him, and he's beating on him, and they're fighting all over, and Kofi's laid out, and they're brawling everywhere. They've been fighting for like 5 minutes.
They fought through a commercial break.
Yep, it's not a match. There's 0 stakes. There's no reason to care. There's no security. Just an incessantly long beating. Go to commercial.
That's why I just figured that they would. It's to lead to a match.
No, they go to commercial, come back.
They may lead to a match this week or next week. I mean, it's possible.
Kofi and Xavier are in the ring. Dolph comes back out. He says, Kofi should have been worried about me, not Brock, because in 11 days, we're fighting for the title. 20 minutes ago, there was no date for this match. Now we have a match.
But no, Kofi and Dolph Ziggler, we always knew that was going to be the next pay-per-view.
It was never announced. And Kofi said, I will deal with you later. I want to deal with Brock. And
I thought it was pretty much made clear. No, they announced it for Saudi Arabia last Tuesday.
Well, they've never announced it here on television.
Okay, it was definitely announced for Saudi because I had the Saudi lineup had that match already listed.
So he cuts this long promo. At least he didn't cry this time, and talks about how he admires that Kofi has friends. Kofi, by the way, has 2 friends because Zero came out when he was getting his ass kicked here and on SmackDown.
And one of them, well, they said Big E is injured again. So I wonder if they brought him back early to shoot that angle.
I'm sure that's what they did.
But he's not ready.
Yeah.
Because he's back gone again.
Yeah. So then they announced the main event for the evening tonight involving, yes, Baron Corbin, who lost last week in the middle of the ring. He is now in a 4-way for the championship match. And you'll never guess who won.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, because of course, it's in Tacoma. I'm going to be there live. So of course Baron Corbin's challenging for the title. Actually, no, I'm not.
No, that's in Saudi.
That's right. Thank God. I was wrong. Well, praise the Lord.
It was originally in Tacoma,
yes.
But they may do a rematch in Tacoma. Don't count your blessings.
I guess you're right. Yeah. Usos are having a block party with all the C-level geeks, and they announced the Revival are not invited, and I thought, you know what? If I were the Revival, I'd be happy I was not at this block party. It's all of the bottom of the barrel prelim guys.
It was just everyone that, it was mostly, and a lot of the women, I think they had every woman that they could find, plus a bunch of women, because they had a bunch of women who I don't even know who these people were. I guess they're just friends of the Usos.
I presume it was supposed to be like members of the Congo line or whatever. Line.
They weren't dressed weird. They were just there's women standing around everywhere, and there was a bunch of Kansas City prelim guys, and I guess they're probably the women were probably Kansas City prelim women or who knows what. They were just all I mean, it was there were 2/3 wrestlers, and then 1/3 probably local wrestlers, and I don't even know who everybody was. Just random people standing around having a party, which is fine.
Charlie says Shane is competing tonight, which is out of the ordinary. It's like, what are you talking about?
He's on TV. He's done stuff
all the time.
He does it fairly often. A couple times. Yeah, it's not that. I mean, it's not a regular thing, but.
So we got a Randy Orton Triple H video package reminding us that they've had some horrible moments in their feuds over the years, including that big angle before that WrestleMania where Triple H invaded his house or whatever that stupid thing was.
Yeah, so that was they played that video before. It's a long video piece for the match in Saudi Arabia with Triple H and Orton, which, by the way, Saudi Arabia is still banned as a term.
Yes, just the Super Showdown. Shane promo ranting about Roman Reigns beating up his dad. He gives us a Samoan history video or he just gives us a history lesson on them.
He just mentions names. Peter Maivia, The Rock, the Yokozuna, the Head Shrinkers, the Usos, and Afa and Sika. I don't really. I guess he.
No one knew what the point of this was because they're chanting what? They're chanting "This is boring." There was an AEW chant, and then we got Shane McMahon versus Lance Anoa'i in the opening match on this show. And Drew McIntyre beats him up outside, posts him, suplex, rips his shirt off, chops him, throws him in the ring. Shane says, "Ring the bell." Then they actually give the guy a comeback in this 1-minute match. And then Shane hits him with Jericho's...
Did you hear they're chanting this match? This is awful during this match.
This is awful. And Shane hits him with Jericho's new finish, puts him in his triangle for the finish. Shane is gasping for breath in this 1-minute match. And Drew chops him a few times. Shane puts him back in the triangle. He's trying to cut a promo. He's totally out of breath. Roman runs down, beats up the heels. Shane and Drew run backstage. This was one awful segment.
Yeah, I when he did that spinning elbow, it's like, geez, I just wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't do that.
Should we make a list of things we wouldn't do on this show? Because it's pretty long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like it's just so weird when I saw him do that because it's like, isn't that like the last thing you would do?
Well, I think so, but...
Well, actually, the last thing you would do is, for no reason whatsoever, in the middle of a promo, mention AEW. It wasn't even disparaging. Just do it, which, I mean, the people didn't really chant AEW that much when he said it.
No, they did. They started chanting, and they immediately hit Seth's music.
They there was a chant, but it wasn't that loud. There was definitely a chant. But it's like, of course they're going to chant that. It's like, what are you doing? I mean, it's like... I am just baffled by the idea that to combat the idea that we have just seen this great wrestling show, that to combat it we're going to do a show with like no wrestling in like the first I mean there was some good wrestling after the first hour and a half, but there was like nothing in the first hour and a half at all.
So Brock comes back out and Paul says it's time to inform which champion Brock will be cashing in against. Seth comes out, says Brock is making a mockery out of all of this. He's a disgrace. And he says if Brock wants to prove him wrong, he can cash in right now.
And Brock's just laughing.
Paul starts reading from this contract. He's reading the thing word for word. I don't even know why. And Brock suddenly cuts him off and grabs the contract and says, "I got a year to cash in?" And Paul says, "You didn't know?" Brock says, "No, I didn't know." Paul says, "How did you not know?"
Brock doesn't watch wrestling on television.
So Brock says, "I got a whole year. I don't need to make a decision right now. Screw you." And he leaves. And there's a positive and negative to this. The positive is it's a great heat angle because Brock as a character gives so few shits about this show that he has no idea how Money in the Bank works. The negative is he has had Money in the Bank cashed in on him, so the idea that he doesn't know how it works is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, it's not like this is anything new. It's only been going on for God knows how many years, right?
Yes. So then he leaves, and Seth Rollins is outraged. Seth Rollins, a babyface, a former Money in the Bank holder himself, is outraged that Brock won't tell him when and where he's going to cash in. What?
You need to have outrage to have pro wrestling. I mean, and we've already established that these guys
I don't want nonsensical outrage.
Well, we've already established that WWE is not going to be making sense. Okay, we've established that. So, we just got to live with that. I mean, I was told that by people in the company years and years ago when I would say something like that. And they go like, you just got to accept that it's not going to make sense because...
Well, I will never accept that.
Yeah, well...
I can't.
I have to because it's just like I don't feel like getting mad at something that for whatever reason. And look, Vince has made tons and tons of money with stuff that doesn't make sense. And I know he's lost lots of viewers too. And I know people, that's one of the big complaints where people, whatever it is, you know what's funny is like I have met a bunch of people who have said, and I think that there were even people that we saw over the weekend, or maybe one person said this over the weekend, but it triggered it because I've heard this so many times. Do you know that like when wrestling was like pretty hot? I mean, it was past the point of super hot, but pretty hot. It's like 2000, or little whatever it was when they did the Triple H Kurt Angle Stephanie thing.
2000.
And that was 2000. So that was like business was like actually on fire in 2000. That was like probably the best creative year the company ever had. I loved that WWE every year, TV that year. It was hilarious. It was the comedy was out of this world. And then they did that angle, and they just dropped it. And everyone knew it would go, and everybody couldn't wait for it to go where it would when Stephanie leaves Triple H for Kurt. And they just drop it. And I've heard so many people go like, that was it. I invested in this great story.
There are a lot of people that quit when that fizzled out.
Yeah, which is an interesting learning lesson, because over the next 19 years, they have done many, many things similar where they just start something, and you go like, oh, you get all these ideas in your head and where it can go, and they're good ideas, and they'll probably be like exciting television and everything, and then they just drop it, and they don't go anywhere. It's like, and how do you invest week after week when Vince just sitting there changing his mind? Like, I can't even make sense of this Money in the Bank stuff. I can't, because it's like, is it like just desperation to get people to not tune out in the 3-hour show 2 weeks in a row? You do that and then you don't pay off. It's like, come on. I mean, it's like, yeah, maybe people will stick around for 2 hours and maybe even for 3 this week. But in the end, you're not doing yourself any favors by doing this. Oh, we got the people. I'm not even sure people are going to stick around to hour 3. But if they did, what's their reaction when that show ends the way it does?
Well, I mean, I was sticking around 3 weeks next week. It's 2 weeks in a row they haven't given me what they promised, so I'm out. Charlie interviewed AJ. This is where he talked about his low back being bad, and then Baron Corbin laid him out. And then our second match on the show, our first real match on the show, Becky and Nikki Cross versus the Iconics. Nikki sold the entire match. Becky didn't even get in there until the hot tag. And she ran wild. She hit the manhandle slam, which is the rock bottom, and pinned
Is that what they call it?
Yep, the manhandle slam.
Yeah, I couldn't even understand it. I played it back like 3 times. It was something like something slam.
Yep, like a pump handle slam. It's the manhandle slam.
It was like basically it was a sumo nodoa is what it was.
It's rock bottom. That's what it's supposed to be.
Is that what it's supposed to be? Okay, because it wasn't a good one.
So anyway, the point of all of this is they spent all that time building up the women's evolution. They spent all that time building up the historic, alleged first ever women's tag team champions. Then virtually immediately, they put them on 2 women straight out of the Divas division, one of whom cannot work at all, one of whom can sort of work. They've had bad matches every week. They've lost every single solitary one of them except a squash. And they need a focus group to figure out what's wrong. Right? Did I miss anything?
You didn't miss anything. No, they have these champions that always lose, and it doesn't even build to championship matches. And yeah, I mean it's like, and like their synchronized promo gets over because it's kind of cute and everything, but yeah, how do they have any credibility? How do you take them seriously when that's all they do? And then their match, they do a match, their matches are just there, and at whatever, yeah.
So Tamina showed up and had a stare down with Naomi at the block party, and then they just hugged. Guess they need more baby faces.
Their family.
Then the Revival showed up,
so I think that's the Tamina babyface turn.
Yes, Naomi revealed that she invited.
So it was a hell of a turn there.
Yes, Naomi revealed she invited the Revival. Usos are upset, and she says you guys need to squash your issues.
What? This is wrestling.
Yes, it's ridiculous. We had Sorrow versus Ricochet.
I mean, like, if they squash their issues, then they got nobody to wrestle.
Well, they got a wild card rule, so they can always find some team somewhere. Cesaro Ricochet had a very good match.
A team that's over.
And 50-50 as always. Ricochet got the win. Finish was actually great. It was a victory roll into a Hurricane Run after having been pulled in from the outside.
Yeah, that was a really cool looking. This was, I mean, as far as like a wrestling match for TV, it was a good match.
Yep, we did miss nice the heat. Stuff. They got the heat during the break, so it's like Cesaro. Ricochet does this big dive. They come back and he's just selling. So no idea why I should care what happened.
You know what? Okay, so. And I, you know, you're so right about this. But when they came back to that, it was like, in my mind, the first thing I thought of is, you need to show a clip of during the commercial break. This was the move that started the heat, and they don't even bother.
No,
so it's like, you know, like that's part of the story of the match. You're like giving us a story, and then you're removing the middle of the story, and then expecting us to be invested in the story when we have missed the middle. It's like...
Not the middle, the conflict.
Whatever.
You can't even have a story without the conflict.
Well, it was just the heat.
They just take it... They take that part out. You don't even know what happened.
Well, I mean, the whole point is you know, you should... To get invested in the match, you have to know the transitional spots. You know, it's like, and if they're not, you know, so... Yeah, that hurt the match in some way, you know. I mean, it's not. I don't know. It's to me like when you do that. I mean, if you do something where somebody's got the advantage and then you come back and the other guy's got the advantage, you have to at least show while we were gone this happened and show one clip of the guy missing a move or whatever it was that turned the thing around, just so at least we're kind of in the story of the match. Because here you can't be in the story of the match because you just come back and it's all changed.
They announced
without an explanation of what happened.
Nope. They announced Rey Mysterio giving up the U.S. title next week, and Joe comes out and says he will give the belt back to him where it rightfully should have been the whole time. Somehow I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see.
So we're going to get a tournament? Who knows?
I don't know.
Maybe we'll have a battle royal for the championship for a title shot.
We have the Usos playing cornhole against the Revival.
That was wonderful.
Yeah. And then I did love what came next. So Miz, Corbin, Lashley, and Strowman are going to have a four-way for the title. And so we get an interview with the Miz, and he announces, just found out I'm having another baby girl.
Yeah, he announced that a couple days ago.
Well, he announces it here on the show. So then they go to Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman,
congratulates him
in his angry Braun Strowman monster voice. He threatens to kill Baron Corbin. He threatens to destroy Bobby Lashley, and then he congratulates Miz on his new baby girl. I died laughing, and I don't think it was supposed to be funny, but I thought it was hilarious. This leads.
I just thought it's like you don't know how to book a monster character. A monster character doesn't do that. That was so stupid. It was so out of character. Like, it's like, that's one of those things that you can do, like, off the air on YouTube videos and everything. But during the body of the show, when he's going to be in this four-way for a championship, congratulating the guy for having a baby girl, one of his opponents.
Then he goes in there and beats his ass. It wasn't even like he was his partner.
Well, I know if it was his tag team partner, it would have been okay. But it's a four-way. It's like, what are you doing? I mean, it's like it's like who can't? It's like you can't figure out basic character stuff, especially Braun, because that monster character is so whatever. You know, it's been around. That, you know, I just saw that. It's like, this is not what this character should be doing on this day. But there he was. He did it.
Strowman, Miz, Corbin, and Lashley. Such an important match for the number one contendership that it's not even the main event. Usual WWE four-way stacked up superplex. Everybody got...
No, I got to say this. There were times in this match, okay, because I just figured, you know, fatal four-way, first pin, right? But in the commentary, they kept talking about eliminations. And it's like...
Very well could have changed during the show.
So it's like they were doing commentary during the match like it was an elimination match. And then you have a pin and it's over. And then they sort of explain, because the other two guys were out there brawling in the stands and gone, that was... So I don't even know what the hell was going on, and they never really explained it. They were doing commentary about an elimination match, And they even explained it, but it was never announced as an elimination match. And anyway.
Well, they kind of did, but there was also the commentary where Strowman goes after Lashley because they're wrestling at the pay-per-view, at the Saudi show.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, okay, so why are they in this match then if they already have a match in Saudi Arabia?
Well, they did address that. They did address that by saying that if either of those two win, then they'll work twice on the show.
Okay, so why were they brawling with each other? Shouldn't the championship be more important than their stupid feud?
Yes, of course.
They brawl into the crowd with each other, and even Corey is saying, dude, if you leave, you can't win this match. And sure as shit, they leave, and Miz and Corbin are in there together, and Corbin hits him with the end of days, clean in the middle, beats him. And so they just brawled out of the ring and lost their chance at the title, and apparently didn't care. And the guy leading that brawl, by the way, was the babyface Braun Strowman. So,
okay, so now here's another thing. So if you have a four-way, there can't be countouts, right?
No. I mean,
okay, so because they never counted them out, even though they were gone. What happens if you're just gone?
Well, if all four guys just leave.
Yeah,
I think they eventually just ring the bell.
Okay.
I was watching WCW. I saw a count out in a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Okay, well that was a different level that's a different level.
I'm not sure that's a different level these days. It
is. It's no. WCW was way worse than this stuff. Way worse.
Brock and Paul are still backstage, and Revival cheated the cornhole game, and a brawl breaks out. I was slack-jawed here looking at all these geeks just running around after R-Truth. And then we had the Firefly Funhouse. A couple of weeks ago, he went totally crazy. Now he's back to being not crazy, being bullied by the witch. He did the limbo. I can't do justice to this, but I actually like the segment. Although, I don't know, are we going to actually have this guy wrestle eventually? Because I thought we had the climactic Firefly Funhouse, and then we just started over again.
Yeah, he's very good at this.
Yes.
I will say that.
This is one of the best things on this show is the Firefly Funhouse.
From a creative standpoint, it's really good. Yeah. I don't know where it goes, and the only thing is he's really dropped some weight. I mean, he's probably in the best shape I've ever seen him. But yeah, what happens once he starts wrestling? And I don't know. I mean, it's not a negative. I'm just we're getting to that point where it's about time. I mean, it is one of the best things on the show, but we got to get him in the ring pretty soon at some point.
We have the electric chair with Sami Zayn. The story is that Corey's out there. I guess it's Corey's segment, and that every week there's a different person who's going to sit in this fake electric chair, and fans out of the crowd will ask them questions.
But this died. It was horrible. But anyway, the thing was I was going to say the idea is that you're not allowed to lie. What's that? What's it going to do? Shock you?
Well, an electric chair is supposed to kill you after you've committed a heinous crime. So I think they're confusing an electric chair with I don't know.
I
don't even know what they think they're doing here, but they're not thinking about the right thing with an electric chair.
You mean like a lie detector test or something?
Yeah, lie detector test is not done in an electric chair.
Yeah.
So anyway, they go to the crowd, and the first fan, and by the way, these were all real fans. They had to have their questions screened, but they were legit fans.
But this was terrible.
First guy goes, "When is your retirement date?" Sami says, "Are your mother and father related?"
What a terrible question.
Kayla says, "Do you miss the ginger snaps from the mixed match challenge?" And I had a glitch in my recording, so I actually don't know what happened, but everybody was laughing about something. And then Sami says, "Where are your parents? They've done a terrible job." And were you asking about Becky or Seth Rollins? Next dude question. What does it feel like when Braun Strowman destroys you? Sami says, "I'd punch you, but you'd sue me. You're too much of a coward to fight back. I'd be putting you in a life-crippling debt." Sami says, "This is very disappointing."
He was running down our healthcare system, which actually, quite frankly, deserves to be run down. That's another issue.
Sami says, "This is very disappointing. You could have asked me anything. You could have asked me about my love life, whether I'm a good kisser."
He said he was, by the way.
Next person says, "Why haven't you won the Universal title yet?" He says, "You guys got to step it up. These are stupid questions. You could ask me anything. You could ask me about AEW." Everybody pops, starts chanting AEW. Corey's desperately trying to steer it back, and Seth Rollins comes out, and Sammy bails. And I actually have no idea why Seth was so mad, but he just came out anyway. And then we had the main event, which just for no reason.
So anyway, the AEW line was scripted. Then they pulled it from the video afterwards, and I actually asked someone like, what's going on, and it's just like all I heard was it was so fucking stupid. So there's like I can't even give you an explanation of, because I can't come up with like any, like, you know, people are going like, what is this? The only what could it be? Like, they felt that they had to say it on the air because people were going to wait 3 hours and go, you know, and wonder what they're going to do. So we're going to do it to prove that we can say it, and we're not afraid of it. It was, you know, I mean, it's like, God, I
know you were told one thing.
Yeah.
I was told that it was not scripted, okay?
Well,
and I know we were both told something different, but listen, hold on one thing.
Okay. If it's not scripted, the dude's going to be suspended.
They're going to suspend Sami Zayn?
Yeah, if you go against the script on live TV and say AEW, they're going to suspend you for sure. They're not going to fire you because they won't fire anybody, but they'll suspend you.
They're certainly not going to fire anybody.
No, they're not going to fire anybody, obviously.
But
no, I mean, I was just told, and the person who told me would know, and because it would have been in the meeting, so it's in the meeting.
Well, this person told me would also have been in the meeting, so there's like either they're messing with people.
Well, the person who I'm talking with wasn't messing with me.
No,
because he was really.
I'm not saying messing with you. I'm saying it is possible that, like, there are things going on that people are being told are not legitimate or are legitimate. Fucking with the boys.
Oh, you mean the idea that they're telling the boys that it wasn't scripted while they scripted it? Yeah, I can believe that we're going to be in an era of that. I definitely can see that in everywhere, that we're going to be in an era like that. Which turns into the era of mistrust. I've been through this one before too, and it's you go in that era of the idea of, instead of trying to come up with things for business, we're trying to come up with, and I mean, trying to come up with things to fool people, and I mean, if you're fooling people for the good of business, I mean, there's at least a business reason, but you don't. To me, like, you don't lie to the boys, because they're always, if you lie to the talent, it's one thing to sneak a guy in, okay? And I mean, that happens all the time, and there's nothing wrong with that, sneaking a guy in and all that. But to go in there and constantly, like, try to work the boys into,
No, wait. Stop.
Yes.
I know you're talking about Brock, okay? This is not just sneaking some guy in at Money in the Bank. The guys were told that Ali was winning. That's fucking with the guys.
No. The guys in the match weren't told that. The guys in the match were told the eighth guy was winning. They just weren't told who the eighth guy was. Now, everyone else, as far as like the production people and all that,
yes, that's fucking with people.
Oh, I agree. That's not a good thing. But I'm saying sneaking guys in, like sneaking Brock in. But yeah, telling people that Ali's going to win.
No, you can sneak somebody in and everything like that, but flat out telling people that Ali's going to win when Ali is not going to win.
Well, okay. Well, I know we both know the end result of this because we saw it in WCW. Nobody trusts anyone, and it becomes a really bad environment. And guess what? How many people are trying to get out of there? Like, there's the ones that like I always joke with people. There's the ones that because for whatever reason they've made it clear. By the way, Mike and Maria Kanellis' contract is up in 3 weeks, which they actually said on Twitter. So I don't know what that means. Who knows? I mean, it's not like, I don't know what that means. But there you go.
Sounds like it means they're not re-signing, but I don't know.
So what? Would they go to Impact?
I don't know.
Would they stay? They're kind of. They're in 205 Live, which is kind of like being nowhere. It's like that's another issue. But yeah, no. But like the whole thing of yeah, when you do that, it just creates a situation where nobody trusts everyone.
She did do a follow-up, by the way, claiming it was her gym memberships.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's it. Maybe she's screwing with people. Who knows? Whatever.
All right, so the main event, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn. Good match. Seth sold for a long time, won with the curb stomp. The big knee spot was where he did a dive and sold like he blew out his knee and sold and sold and sold. Did something resembling a one-legged frog splash, whole 9 yards. So when the match is over, he wins, and he's standing there and he's holding his knee. And as you noted, it's like, okay, well, here comes Brock. But then he starts holding his belt up in the air, and then he starts walking around fine and not selling his knee, and then the show goes off the air.
Yep.
So for the second week in a row again, they tease throughout the show by keeping Brock on the show, by the way, and showing him backstage that if you stick around for this third hour, this dude's cashing in. 2 weeks in a row, they didn't do it. So, I mean, you got to have some dumb fans if they believe it next week. I mean, people may still watch the entire show for other reasons, but, like, nobody's going to watch the show for 3 hours expecting a Brock cash-in. They can't.
Yeah, I don't know. I would never have done it. I mean, I thought it was clever last week, and I thought that the way they hooked them for, like we're going to do it next week. But I thought at that point, now you got to do it, and they didn't do it. So, whatever.
So that's Raw, everybody. All right, Smackdown.
The Undertaker Goldberg thing was really well done.
Yeah, Goldberg's awesome.
Goldberg was great. Yeah, Goldberg was great. Kofi Kingston was great in his interview, but talking about Ghana, and I mean, he came off really real. And God, okay, just so I remember this before I forget, whoever is the guy who, we always say don't blame the writers and all this, and you shouldn't. However, whoever the writer is who scripted the verbiage that Lars Sullivan recited, needs to be like, I don't know what he needs to do. I want to say he needs to be dismembered, because that would be the worst taste possible, especially this week. But he needs to not be writing dialogue, because that dialogue that Lars Sullivan shouldn't be talking. I know, like when he was in NXT, I used to have this discussion all the time, because like he can do a good interview. He's creative. He's really smart. And it's like, I don't care if he can do a great interview. He needs not to talk. Some people should not talk. He needs a manager who's talking, because the mystery is greater than his promo ability, unless he's frickin' Dusty Rhodes, and he's not Dusty Rhodes. And boy, was I right on this one. But they gave him horrible material, so that didn't help. But I don't care. He does not need to talk. He needs someone to talk for him, and he needs to stand there and that's just it. That's what he needs to do.
When he first started, and it begins with some line about a nightingale and something else, I was hating it, and I was just fixing to just be in a complete outrage. But by the end, I didn't hate it, because I thought with like what he was given, by the end of it, I thought, all right, he did the best he could with this. But
you're gonna have a lot of people real mad at you for saying that, because everybody wants to say. I mean, I couldn't get past the verbiage. The
verbiage at the beginning was horrible.
Oh, unbelievable.
But by the end, I thought that he actually displayed a modicum of actual personality somehow, and I didn't hate it. I hated the beginning. I absolutely hated the beginning.
I did.
And I have also argued for over a year now that he shouldn't be talking. Somebody should be talking for him.
Somebody who's not scripted also, which is another problem. I mean, between watching like Juice Robinson and Will Ospreay today, and Cody and Dustin building up their match, and then watching WWE at the same time, it's like,
dude, watching Best of the Super Juniors and then seeing Truth underneath a ring pinning some guy for this stupid title.
Well, that's a different argument. I'm just talking about promos right now. When I'm watching the promos in New Japan, the promos in AEW, and then I watch the promos in WWE, it's like, Kofi was good. Don't get me wrong, and Bill Goldberg was good, but that's, I'm guessing, Bill Goldberg's not being scripted by these writers.
Bill Goldberg's in a different game. Bill Goldberg's in the Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar thing where they work everything out, and obviously Bill is saying what Bill wants to say. He ain't having people tell him what to say. And when he's, if Bill Goldberg is given a script, believe me, he would be awful. If Bill Goldberg's going out there to say what he needs to say and be given framework, he's actually very good, which is funny because his rep was that he wasn't, but he is. He's really good. The other thing I thought was interesting with the Goldberg Undertaker thing was, and obviously this was the plan, was Undertaker shows up, the lights go out, Bill does his promo, essentially that the family man Goldberg, he left him at home. Undertaker was right because maybe the family man Goldberg, I don't know if he would have gotten the job done, but this is the ass kicking Goldberg, and I'm waiting to see Undertaker, where you stand and all that. So the lights go out, Undertaker's in the ring. So Undertaker's looking at him, and everyone, for 20 years, whenever you do this spot, I don't care if it's John Cena, I don't care if it's The Rock, even Brock Lesnar, everybody backs off. Nobody gets in his face, and Goldberg just staring at him laughing, which I just thought was,
it was awesome.
Oh, it was fantastic. And then he leaves, and Goldberg's just laughing like he's not spooked. He's not because Bill Goldberg, if Bill Goldberg would have done what everyone else does, honest to God, it would have killed the entire match. Dead. But it was enough to where, of all the matches on this show, even though it's probably going to be a 3-minute match, and I don't dread it because I'm sure it'll be worked out, and the 3 minutes it's themselves will be fine. It'll be in, it'll be out, it'll be over, there'll be no pain. It'll probably be better for Undertaker than all of his matches for the last several years because it's just going to be short and sweet. But it's like they, in that one promo, in that 90 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever it was, they more effectively built up the match than all those weeks and weeks and weeks of Shane McMahon and Roman Reigns and Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston, and Seth Rollins, Baron Corbin, and everything, even the Brock Lesnar thing. They did a better job than everything else on that show that's had so much time on television that, that I could care less about seeing. I mean, I don't think I could. I don't think there's any way. I don't think there's anything that could be said that would get me interested in the Seth Rollins Baron Corbin match. Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler, I'm watching their stuff, and Kofi was really good. And this Dolph's another one where those writers that are writing for him, they don't got it at all. I mean, with Lars, it's like they don't even get like the monster. I know it's like Vince's, especially when there was that one line about bodily fluids, and then the announcers start laughing, and it's like, oh God, they're writing for Vince, and Vince actually likes this, and the announcers have to laugh at something that's not funny. It was really bad, but it was. It's like they've got this idea that Lars is this tortured guy who his whole life has been called a freak. So because of that, he reacts so violently to everyone, but he's actually in his weird way very intelligent. This is the idea of his character, okay? And they're already, with the idea that someday, like Braun Strowman, he's going to be this big baby face. You can already see it. Yeah, maybe. I just think he should be a monster and never talk.
Going back to the Goldberg thing there, I mean, Goldberg and Undertaker, I mean, clearly they've got whatever they've got going, but when Undertaker did the thing about how I don't want Bill the family man, I want the unstoppable monster, or whatever term he used, I mean, that's what Goldberg should have done when he got in the ring. He should have laughed. I mean, it would have killed the whole promo, would have killed everything if he would ask for the unstoppable monster, and then this dude just gets in there and begs off or gets scared or whatever. So,
but that's what every other Undertaker opponent for the last 20 years has done.
Yeah, but this was great. That's what made this great. And the promo was great. He felt real. Felt like a real human being in there doing this promo.
Right. It's like one of the only 3 real human beings in the whole company. Him and Kofi, and who else is real?
Daniel Bryan.
Oh, Daniel Bryan's doing a complete character. I mean, he's great.
He's doing a character, but I mean, you can believe Daniel Bryan would tell you all of those things that he's telling you in his promos.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan's a great promo, but I don't think that character's. I mean, it's like I know that there's realist. He's got real. How to say it? The views he espouses are very close if not actually his real feelings.
Yeah.
It's not like he's
real.
But I don't consider him that's not him. That's not him really, though. Not too many of those guys are them. I think Seth Rollins is kind of real, actually, of the guys. Like when he does a promo, like most of the guys when they do the promo, I usually like, they're so fake, they're so bad. Seth Rollins is actually comes across really well. He's, but they're the exceptions to the rule.
All right, the ratings for these shows.
The other thing, Alexa Bliss was a babyface on Monday. She's a heel on Tuesday. She's getting a shot at Bayley. I'm guessing that
this is even worth discussing that somebody was a babyface on Monday and a heel on Tuesday. I mean, this is like every week.
I know. Yeah, I know Tamina was a babyface last week, turned babyface, then she's heel this week. I know. But I guess like the idea is to show that Bayley is not the Bayley of old. I guess that the idea is that she beats Alexa Bliss because Alexa Bliss is the one that basically killed her last character dead, or the Bookers did in the feud with Alexa Bliss, because it really wasn't Alexa's fault one bit. It was the portrayal. But yeah, so they do it through the three-way. I thought three-way was pretty decent, though. I thought for Alexa Bliss, having been out for a long time, she looked pretty good. Charlotte was like a zillion times better than she was on Monday, if not a quadzillion, if there's such a term. And Carmella was good, and I'm not really, I'm not always the biggest Carmella fan of her wrestling, but I thought she was pretty good. And what else was on the show? So ratings, I was so disappointed with the ratings. Actually, both nights, but more SmackDown. I mean, the Raw number was up, but, you're talking about, they basically promised you, they didn't deliver, but they promised you a cash in and pretty much told you that the WWE champ, the Universal title, is going to change hands and Brock's going to win the title. And nothing of the sort happened, but they promised you, and Undertaker was back. And they ended up with 2,405,000 viewers, which I thought was lower than I expected, but, by a good 150,000, but still, it was up from last week.
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't think that it was one fan that would buy that Brock was going to cash in.
I guess they went 1 week.
That goddamn second hour that was up.
Oh, yeah. It was up until he didn't, the cash in, and then it went down.
There were people after being screwed over twice. There were still fans that thought, well, goddamn, this week they're going to cash that thing in.
Yeah, because they used Stephanie's name, and people believed it because of Stephanie's name. And Stephanie
didn't even show up on the show to talk about it.
Well, God, yeah. What do you think? You know what I mean? It's like, God, they're going to make me the fool? I'm not even showing up on this show.
It is amazing. 2.56 million viewers for the second hour, the highest rated hour. All because people thought he was going to cash in after they'd been lied to twice. It's actually incredible.
Yeah, but do you think that? But in the long run, I believe that the terrible rating for Tuesday is probably the payback, because you can't. I mean, I've seen this enough to where when you screw people, it doesn't affect you the night you screw them. It affects you going forward.
Well, sure, yeah, but I mean, SmackDown, you had Goldberg.
I know, it was terrible.
And Undertaker.
Well, they didn't know about Undertaker, but they absolutely promoted the hell out of Goldberg, and you were down with no sports. I mean, they didn't even have hockey. They had nothing. And they went down with Bill Goldberg's first time in the history of his life on SmackDown, or at least that's what they said. So,
well, the old SmackDown Live, his first time ever.
Whatever, yeah. But the whole point is that, I mean, if you can't, for Goldberg's first time back since whatever it's been, a couple of years now, and you do that number, that was not good. That really, I'll tell you, like, I going forward, because they got a little bit of a boost by putting Roman Reigns and all those guys on both shows. So they got that, but that was going to wear out, and it probably already has. Then they get a little bit of a boost because they've had Brock on every week, and they had Undertaker, and they've been Bill Goldberg. But you come back after this, and Money in the Bank's sort of a major show, whereas you come back with this and building up Stomping Ground and all this, it's like they're gonna have a rough period until SmackDown goes on Fox, at least. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be real tough. I just feel, they're doing a lot more bad than they are good, and that's never a good thing in the long run for your future.
All right, any other SmackDown thoughts?
Let's see. Lars Sullivan was supposed to wrestle Matt Hardy, so that might be next week because that was pulled because Lars Sullivan had a minor injury. I'm trying to think what other thoughts. I thought the R-Truth, what was it? The R-Truth thing was actually quite amusing, but they're spending so much time on R-Truth that like there's like nothing else now. Now the Miz was very good at the show. He opened the show with this idea that he had to read from a script, which in fact he always has to read from a script. So it's almost like a spoof on WWE writing. So he was like reciting the lines like really bad, like even worse than the people who were bad at reciting lines, but he was doing it on purpose. I don't think it really made it entertaining, and it kind of like, to me, was kind of like it was really a turnoff, actually. Not him, it's not his fault, but the idea of like, I'm reading from a script and I'm making sure that you all know I'm reading from a script. When I'm watching a wrestling show, I know these guys are all reading from a script because it's painfully obvious in some of the interviews that they are, and they suck. But this idea of I'm reading from a script and I want you to know I'm reading from a script because I'm going to read it really badly, which actually there was a reason for it in the sense that because he's reading from the script and he's supposed to say like best in the world, but he calls it the breast in the world, which was just a hilarious line. I couldn't stop laughing. And then he was the pest of the world, which was only slightly better. This forced bad humor doesn't really work. And then, okay, so the gimmick is that Miz has to beat Elias, and then he has to beat Drew McIntyre to get another match with Shane. Okay, so he beats Elias pretty quick. Then he wrestles Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre just beats him clean. It's like, are you trying to kill this guy? And then because he's out to get heat, Shane McMahon puts him in the triangle. When Shane McMahon starts the match, puts him in the triangle. Okay, so you can, it's like you can humiliate the guy and all that. So once he lost to Drew, it's like he's a freaking loser. He's got to be, when you put a guy in a situation where he has to win the 2 matches to get to the main guy, he's got to win the 2 matches, and he didn't. So anyway, he loses to Drew. I get why he lost to Drew in the sense that, Drew's being set up for one reign, so he ain't going to lose to Miz. I get all that. But he should have just done a thing where it's like, you have to beat Elias, and you can get a match with me. So then he can beat Elias. He doesn't have to go through Drew. And then he gets the thing with Shane, and then Drew can, like, kick him in the head, but it's not a match. And then Shane can put him in the triangle, and you get to the same result without making Miz look that bad. But worse, so Shane puts him in the triangle, and he frickin' taps. It's like the least he could do is pass out. It's like there was no need for him to tap. I mean, they just did a whammy on Miz and another whammy on Miz after scripting him to do a terrible promo all at once. It's like, and he's one of the guys they like. So, God, I just imagine if they don't like you. Yeah, there wasn't too much. It looks like they're still building up heavy machinery against Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. I don't know if that'll be at the pay-per-view or not. Could be. Otis has a real good delivery. A little over the top, but it wasn't too bad. And then Dutra took a real... Did you see that bump Dutra took right at the end?
Yeah. Uh-oh. Lost Dave when I was talking about Dutra's bump. Stand by, everybody. All right, we're back here. Dave lost internet, so we're continuing on here via phone. And, yes, we're talking about Dave Dutra. Dave Dutra and AJ Kirsch are the tag team champions of, what's the county? Yolo County.
Yolo County borders on Sacramento. It's not actually the county. Sacramento's actually in a different county, but it's the next county over.
Yeah, so they were the tag team champions. They lost. I had forgotten that Daniel Bryan worked for the company. He'd been gone for so long because they totally took him off TV when he wasn't going to Saudi Arabia. But they're back, and Heavy Machinery beat the champs of Yolo County, And I guess he'll be getting a tag team.
They had cardboard belts. That was actually kind of amusing in its own bizarre way.
So Truth, by the way, is locked up in a box for 6 days now. So hopefully he doesn't die. They're taking him to Raw.
Yeah. He was screaming that he was getting hypothermia.
Yeah. So this is the comedy we're dealing with here. And then Bayley and Nikki Cross.
And he thinks he's got the 7-Eleven championship.
Yeah. Just a lot of nothing happening things on this show and kind of boring.
Yeah.
And there you go.
I thought like, I mean, the main event was fine. It was New Day over Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Dolph Ziggler. But when it was over, I mean, it did nothing for me to get me excited for Kofi Kingston and Ziggler in a cage match. I mean, like, at all.
Well, how'd the show do in the ratings? We got Raw and SmackDown numbers.
All right, so Raw did the lowest, other than Christmas and New Year's, exactly what was predicted. It possibly, I mean, all things considered, I can't even say it was. I mean, it was bad. I mean, whenever you do the all-time low, I guess it's bad, but it was going against a basketball game that did, what did it do, 18,217,000 viewers. It was a hell of a game, too. So they did 2,125,000 viewers, 1.54 rating. The old record low was 1.56. Other than Christmas and New Year's, I think that next basketball season, if not football season, will be under the New Year's Eve number. I don't think we'll be under the Christmas Eve number. That one may take a while to get underneath that one, but I mean, we'll be back doing record lows during football season, because that's how it always goes. But that's where we're at. So let me just see if there was any notes on these numbers that I recall. Okay, so this is an interesting one. From hour 1 to hour 3, teenage girls dropped 54%, which is like unheard of, especially since I think last week they didn't drop at all. So
64%?
54%.
54%.
Actually. 53.6, actually, yeah. So it's like, yeah, crazy. The SmackDown rating, which did not go against a basketball game or anything, did 1,930,000 viewers, which would be the 5th lowest for a live SmackDown. But it's the lowest with no excuse, because like the other ones that were lower was a Christmas Day show, which is obviously a great excuse for ratings not to be good. The one that went against Trump's State of the Union address, and the other two would be against NBA playoff games, which is so this is like the lowest rated SmackDown live show with no excuse. So, and the other thing that was interesting is guys, teenage boys, and I don't even know what they were watching. They probably maybe they got sick the night before, who knows? But it was like teenage boys watched in like record low numbers by a giant margin. So, the ratings weren't good. But I mean, everyone knew going in that the Monday rating wasn't going to be good. And generally speaking, when the Monday rating isn't good, the Tuesday rating isn't good. So, I wouldn't put that much stock in this as compared to every other week. I don't think it's like, oh my God, like a couple weeks ago there were like numbers that were alarming. I think these numbers are expected. If they don't bounce back next week, that would not be good, especially Raw. Like if Raw is only up a little bit or stays the same, that would be a very bad sign. If SmackDown's not up a little bit, even if it stays the same, those would both be bad signs. So, and it isn't like they're advertising anything for next week that would likely change anything. I mean, I don't know what they could advertise at this point. We've already brought back Undertaker. We brought back Goldberg, and it didn't really even matter hardly. So they're running out of rabbits, So
Well, I mean, the remaining rabbit is to actually build something up and pay it off over a period of time, but that's not going to happen, so it's not looking good.
Bring somebody in and bring a young guy in and make him hot. I mean, only the whole story of reviving wrestling in territories for the history of mankind is get a young guy in and push him really hard and get him hot.
Well, hey, I have to say, I mean, he's not the guy, okay? Don't get me wrong, he's not the guy. But, I mean, I haven't seen them, like, push a guy as hard as they've pushed Kofi in a long time. That dude wins every single match with his move every single time he's out there. Like, I will give them credit that he was a weak champion. He was a guy that got over, and the people were behind him. But he had been a tag team guy, and they decided, God damn it, we're going to do it with this guy. And he went to WrestleMania. He beat everybody. He beat Daniel Bryan. He's won every single match with his moves since. So they are trying with him. I mean, it's not the guy that's going to turn it around. But, I mean, it's at least an indication that if they had the guy, they could actually do this if they wanted to.
Well, of course they could always do it. Anyone can do it. Just, and they've had guys. I mean, they just don't do it. It does appear that there's some people behind Aleister Black, so we'll see if they do something with him. And it's funny to me because
he beat Randy Orton on the road clean.
He beat Randy Orton at the house shows on Sunday and Monday night. Yeah, which is a little bit of a surprise. I mean, they usually put babyfaces over at house shows, but still. They usually don't have Randy Orton lose to people unless they're really pushing the guy. And they're giving him promo time every week. He's demanding for someone to challenge him to a fight, so there you go. And it's pretty much it for the show. I mean, it's not, I mean, they're still in a very blah situation. They need to get a spark. And this show was not that spark.
So they did that tag match, and it's like they're trying to get heat on Miz for whatever reason, but it's like they spend so much time pushing R-Truth, right? and then they put him in a serious match and they beat him like he's like absolutely nothing. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, we already know that 24/7's a joke, but some people find it entertaining. But it's almost like when they go in there and it's like, this guy's getting over a little bit, so let's put him in a match with real guys and just squash him, so everyone knows that he's okay. He's fun and everything, but he's really not an important guy. And it's like there was no reason for that. They could have done that match, that elimination match, with just a regular match, and just beat the Miz, and you'd have the exact same, and Drew McIntyre could Claymore kick him a million times, and you'd have the same thing. It doesn't even. It's like the stipulation is to make sure more guys get buried. I mean, it's like stipulations are supposed to enhance. They're supposed to have. There's two things. They're supposed to have a storyline reason. Like there's a reason why you do this. Like something happened to lead to, like, there's some fluke finish, so you want a 2 out of 3 fall match. There's like some situation where the baby face, wants to get something. In this case, it's, just the idea of, getting a 2-on-1 edge because one of the heels has been a chicken shit or whatever. Like, there's reasons these matches were invented, but they just put these matches on with no reason. And their only purpose is to make sure that, the worst one was that elimination match on Monday. I mean, that one was just ridiculous in so many ways. I mean, everything about that match was ridiculous. But this elimination match didn't serve any purpose. What else did they have? They're setting up, they're doing of all the things, they're trying to push a house show match, which they never do. And it's a house show match at Sumo Hall in Tokyo.
When they announced that the Kabuki sisters, Kabuki girls,
Do they still call them that?
Whatever the name of the team
I don't even
is.
think they gave them a name. They're just.
When Asuka and Kyrie were announced as getting a shot against the Iconics,
It's not a title shot. It's a non-title match.
Well, they're getting a shot, and if they win, they get a title shot. But anyway, when they announced it was happening in Tokyo, like I paused for a second and I thought, they're doing TV from Tokyo?
Not TV.
And then I realized, wait a second, no, because they're here. They're in Washington. They're in Everett and Portland next week. So this is a house show. And what's even more bizarre is it's a house show next Friday. So it's not even this Friday. It's like a week from now.
Right.
So it was so bizarre.
So weird.
What?
So weird. So weird. They never promote house shows on these TVs.
No, and you would think if they were going to promote a house show, they'd be promoting a championship match on the house show. Not you're going to have a match at a random house show, and if you win, then you'll get a title match on another show.
So here, the other thing is if that's the case, and if you're just doing a match where if you win, you get a title shot, why wouldn't you just do it on television?
I have no idea. Yeah, I was baffled.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I think that it's like kind of a good idea to do something like this at a house show, but in Tokyo, I mean, it's like in Tokyo you're going to draw like you're not going to draw more in Tokyo off an angle on English television. Like in Tokyo, you're going to draw because of the novelty of WWE only coming to town once a year or whatever, coming to Tokyo once a year. Oh, those two shows actually, it's back to back, but it's one tour a year. But in like some of these cities that they come to regularly, like if they want to do something in, let's just say Chicago house show. I mean, I could see that, like something where the fans of Chicago, hey, we're getting something important. Let's go to the house show and maybe it'll, be a little bit more, more people will want to go. Because more people aren't going to go to this house show in Tokyo because of this stip. I mean, even though it's two Japanese wrestlers that are involved in the stip. Now, if they had made it a championship match in Tokyo and pushed it, I mean, that would be different. Because, you're going to do because if fans think that, maybe they'll see a title change. Maybe. I don't even know if that would make a difference in Tokyo, honestly. But in theory, maybe it could. I thought that they, so Dolph Ziggler wrestled Xavier Woods, and when the match was over, my first thought was, thank God this was so much better than what they did with Baron Corbin the night before. I mean, at least Ziggler beats Kofi's friend, absolutely clean, devastating, strong. So that was good. What else did they do here? The B Team and Heavy Machinery, which was really all about Daniel Bryan getting to talk about the Bushwhackers. And the cute line about John Laurinaitis. Did you catch that?
I didn't.
Okay, so they were talking about, it was Daniel Bryan's talking about the Bushwhackers and how, the Heavy Machinery tries to imitate the Bushwhackers. And he's just like, the Bushwhackers never even won the championship. And then somebody goes, but they're in the Hall of Fame. And Daniel Bryan goes, well, Coco Beware's in the Hall. He's basically burying their own Hall of Fame on their own TV. Coco Beware's in the Hall of Fame, so what does that mean? And he just goes, now, the Sheep Herders, they were good. You guys should look them up on the WWE Network. And then...
he's not wrong, by the way.
With the Sheep Herders, they were a wild team.
They were awesome.
Yeah, they were a pretty wild team. I saw some really good Sheep Herders matches over the years.
Great matches and great promos.
Jonathan Boyd? Oh, geez. Jonathan Boyd, what a great promo he was. I don't know about Luke, but...
Oh, man, Luke was great. He was great. He would talk circles out of over 95% of the people in this company today.
You thought so?
I'm positive. I watch it every week.
Okay. Jonathan Boyd was a fantastic promo. I mean, I remember seeing him with the Royal Kangaroos in San Francisco in the 70s with Norman Frederick Charles. That guy could talk. Who did say there's Butch?
No,
Miller
Butch did the promos. Luke was not a good promo. Luke just stood in the background and mumbled.
Butch was funny. I mean, and entertaining, but Jonathan Boyd was the great promo. And then they had Rip Morgan, who I don't even remember him doing promos. I just remember Jonathan Boyd talking for him. And what else? So anyway, so it came down to where I think it was Corey Graves said that that guy who held their flagpole, I always thought he would amount to something. And that's what they said. So that guy that they're talking about was
Johnny Ace.
Johnny Ace, yeah. John Laurinaitis. So, yeah. So, then what we have, the Shane thing where The whole thing was about how Shane gets all the TV time. Miz was good. Miz was good there, talking about that, and Shane was, my father's a billionaire and your father's a baked potato, and yeah, that was nice. Authors of Pain are back. They were roaming the hallways. That's all they did. They're back in the back. Not even identified, just kind of walking around for no reason. And Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose are eating donuts, so all the women can get mad because they look like that while they're eating donuts, and all the other women are like, I guess that's supposed to be heat. And Mandy Rose, Amber Moon, I should say, got furious at them and
awful babyface writing here, hideous.
Offered her a donut, and she just blew her stack.
Just flipped out like a wild person, crazy person.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like all they did was offer her a donut, even though they were like bitches to her. It's like
they were mean to her last week, but they didn't do a thing to her. They were minding their own business eating donuts, and she just came up and flipped out on him.
Yeah, they were mean to her every week, but still, she didn't need to flip out on him over them offering her a donut. But I guess, who knows? What was that supposed to mean? Like, why would she flip out over them offering her a donut?
I think she's supposed to still be mad about them screwing up her video game last week, but it just came off as a completely unstable person.
I love those unstable baby faces.
Yeah.
That's okay, so that's... Yeah, they're going to need a lot of weeks of TV to turn this thing around. It's not... the ratings are not... they're at all-time low, Yeah, we're pretty much at all-time lows. Oh, right there. Yeah.
Well, the good news is they're going to, for sure, win an ESPY. Not an Emmy, but an ESPY.
For sure they're winning an ESPY.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they get their own category.
They got their own ESPY category now.
Kofi and Dolph was fine. Too much Shane McMahon. Very much Shane McMahon getting, over and everything like that. The segments moved all right. It was a show. I had no problems watching it, but were there any super good promos? Nah, not really. Were there any super good matches? Tag match was okay. It was good. It was good for what it was, but super good, no. So, it was a Tuesday night show. That's about it.
All right, ratings.
So what did you think about Smackdown tonight?
Smackdown was, other than, Kofi Kingston flipping off Samoa Joe, it really wasn't all that different from how the shows have been of late. I thought it was kind of a more normal show. The Samoa Joe Kofi Kingston segment was good because Joe's got such great delivery on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just see I thought the stuff early in the show with Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler, I was very amused by their verbiage going back and forth where, Dolph Ziggler was saying that, he looks like a guy who can enter a hot dog eating contest, and Kevin Owens goes, if I was in a hot dog eating contest, I at least would win, which is more than I can say about your wrestling matches. So, it was really kind of funny. And then at the end, they agreed to team up to get into the pay-per-view match, tag team championship match, work together, and then Dolph Ziggler accidentally super kicks Owens. Owens loses. It's heavy machinery. And then Owens gives Dolph Ziggler a stunner. And very clear it's a babyface turn for Owens, who just turned heel a couple months ago. I hate those quick turns back and forth. But, originally he was always supposed to be a babyface, and the heel thing was, was just last-ditch effort because Daniel Bryan got hurt, and now they're getting him back to where they wanted him originally. A lot of changes. So the Undertaker and Roman Reigns match with Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre is going to be a no-holds-barred match, and the Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins against Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin match is a no-holds-barred match, which I think they're the same thing.
Not a lights-out match?
That's a different thing. They had to turn the lights out first for that. And then the tag team title match, which was originally Daniel Bryan and Rowan against the New Day, is now a three-way with adding heavy machinery back in the match. So that came off of there. That was the stipulations of them winning over, the win over Ziggler and Owens.
Okay, explain that one again. So Taker and Reigns against Shane and Drew is a no holds barred stipulation for Extreme Rules. And then what is the mixed tag?
It's the same thing, but with a different name. What, like Extreme Rules, I think?
Extreme Rules match.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, I mean, they're the same thing. So it's lots of brawling. Going to be lots of brawling all over the place, lots of weapons in both of those matches. I guess it probably needs it in both cases. I mean, the Extreme Rules shows are usually pretty entertaining because they're usually pretty wild. So I guess that's the deal there.
You don't imagine anyone is going to take off their shoes before stepping in thumbtacks.
No, I don't think that they'll do that in WWE just yet. Although they may in enough time, because if they feel that they have to compete, then someone will do that. I don't know about that. That one, I'm not like a fan of matches where guys like kind of prove how psychotic they are. I don't know. I've never been. It's like if there's a storyline thing, like I was never really into like the barbed wire stuff anyway. But I mean, if you do a match, but I know it can get over. So if you do a match like that, once a year, at the culmination of a storyline, makes sense. I don't know that the story was at the point where they needed that, and it was kind of felt like they're doing it to prove they could do it. But it was. It was to me a very entertaining match, and a lot of people really liked that match, and I thought it was a really good match. I didn't mind it because I didn't mind it because, again, it was only once, and so it was new and fresh. I will mind it if they do it on every pay-per-view, but they won't. But they're not going to.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I don't think that was any kind of of a negative to the show. I mean, there's a lot of criticism of the shows, and some of it's valid. The Jabali thing was either, I know people who really loved it because they were watching with friends, and it's kind of like, like people who aren't wrestling fans that want to like laugh at how stupid wrestling is, and that match gave it to them. It was really, out there, and just really contrived. But to me, it shouldn't have been on an AEW show, at least on a television pay-per-view show. And the women's match, I didn't think was a good match either.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the pre-show. I only watched the main card.
Yeah, but they set up Private Party to look really good, and the main card was real good. I mean, I think there's the chair shot was what the chair shot was. It was supposed to be different than it was, and as far as what happened and why, I think the only ones who really know are Cody and Shawn Spears. As far as what happened. I don't know if it's maybe it was only Shawn Spears, maybe it was Cody and Shawn Spears. I don't know. But I think they were going for, I don't think, it's like, and again, I haven't talked to Cody about this, so I don't really know. But I know in situations like this where things have happened, where blood is involved, I know that a lot of people, when it's like in WWE or in other companies where they ban bleeding and someone ends up busted open in an angle like this, they call it fortunate juice, and I think when that happened, because it was, I thought that that's kind of how I viewed it. It's like, well, I'm sure this isn't supposed to happen, and as long as he's okay, and he was okay, he got staples, but he didn't have a concussion. It's something that a lot of people are going to talk about, but a lot of the talk was there's a lot of outrage. And perhaps so. I mean, I'm not, I don't think we'll be seeing any more chair shots to the head there either. So,
what was the idea?
The idea was to hit him straight over the head instead of this way. Mm-hmm. Why it didn't happen, I do not have an answer, but that was the idea.
Was there anything else about SmackDown?
I'm trying to think. Daniel Bryan and Big E had a good match for, in 8 minutes. I mean, you're really not in a situation where, you get a lot of time in these matches because of the rules. They did that. They did another one. So in the main event with the Ziggler, this is the Ziggler and
Kevin Owens against the new was it not New Day, but against Heavy Machinery.
Mm-hmm.
They had New Day and Daniel Bryan and Rowan at ringside, and then they went like 2.5 minutes, and then Daniel Bryan and Rowan and New Day just started a fight out of nowhere for no apparent reason, and then they went to a commercial break, and then they come back and they restart the match, and it's like every freaking show we have to do this now. It's so ridiculous. Every main event, you go 2 minutes, you have an ending, you have a screwed up ending, and then you come back. And you come back with, this time we got about a 6-minute main event. Last night we had whatever it was, 3.5-minute main event. It's just, or come back. I mean, because you end up having like two matches. The first one always is a no contest, and you come back and redo it. It's like watching tonight. It was like, oh, not again. This thing isn't working. They got a lot of stuff that is, but yeah. That one wasn't. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to keep doing this each and every week. No one does, actually.
So, do you expect SmackDown? I mean, usually what happens is Raw's up, SmackDown's up.
Yeah, it'll be up a little bit. I think so. Time will tell. Where this all goes. I mean, whenever they have these, if we want to call them reset shows. Like when the McMahons come back or something like this, or when the reset. I mean, we've had a lot of resets. We had the wild card reset. We've had nothing but resets. It feels like every couple of weeks because the ratings keep falling. The first week of the resets always does well. So it's like, I don't want to go in here and say it's the start of a new era, but there was a lot of stuff that I saw on the show Monday when I was watching it where I go, okay, this is going to help ratings, at least from this show. And even would for the long term. But it was like it was a lot of hot shotting and stuff. And the SmackDown didn't have that. The SmackDown probably will in a couple of weeks. I figure maybe after the pay-per-view, because that's when Eric's going to really be in charge. And good, bad, or indifferent, he's going to come in here with all kinds of new ideas and new people he wants to push once he gets familiar, or someone's going to tell him who these people are and everything. It'll be interesting to see the battles over who gets the NXT guys now when you have the situation, especially like Adam Cole, maybe Shayna. I mean, who would be the most valuable people that can come up? I could see people both wanting and not wanting Shayna for all the obvious reasons, but I think it's pretty much
Heyman could figure out tons of stuff to do with her, though.
Oh, without a doubt. And Heyman's high on her. Heyman's high on Ricochet, as you could tell from the show. I mean, that was pretty clear that he's been in 2 straight main events, so they're trying to position him. He got to beat AJ, so they're trying to get him in that mix because he's a guy who can appeal to teenagers. So that's the goal right now. The goal is to make sure those teenagers don't go to AEW before AEW starts getting on the air.
Bischoff's going to bring back the NWO.
Everyone goes back to the ideas that they had before. That's the mark of bookers. He'll probably, who knows what. I don't know what's in Eric's head. We'll see. It's definitely a clean slate. I mean, he hasn't been following the product at all.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah,
because it's really going to be who's able to influence him.
Very much so. Well, that's probably the background of all this is the people who wanted him in, as opposed to the people who didn't want him in. The people who would, I know a lot of people there, but they didn't even know it was coming. The people in that company before the announcement, because I heard from a lot of people in the company that Thursday. I mean, because you were gone, that I was hearing from lots of people, and they were just. Nothing positive on the Eric one at all from people who had worked with him, from people who knew him. He has a lot of enemies and not a lot of respect. But he also, it was a stock market move too, because, I've seen like a couple of stock analysis, actually several, and they're all positive, and they all like, oh, they're bringing in the guys who like brought in the wrestling boom 20 years ago. These are great hires by Vince. And it's like, well, Paul was already there anyway. And I don't know.
Imagine how that would work.
I mean, it really
in like another sport, like if the NBA decided to bring back David Stern, like people would just be like, even
Well, David Stern was successful.
No, he was he created the basketball.
That's what I mean. He was like super successful.
But in today's NBA, bringing him back would be super out of touch.
Well, imagine comparing that to Bischoff, who was, Bischoff did have a couple of years of success, but he flamed out like one of the worst flameouts that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And then had, all these years where he had project after project that failed.
Yeah.
Just a dismal track record.
Yeah.
So it's like, but, from the outside, it's like, oh, yeah, they brought in the president of ECW and the president of WCW and when wrestling was big, but it's like, it's 20. I mean, it's just amazing to me, like 20 years ago. Part of it is because of, it kind of tells you, there are people there who could have done the job. You just got to give them the chance, but they weren't going to.
Yeah.
Because they don't have that paper credential. Wall Street's not going to know who these people are. But it is interesting. It's very crazy about the whole thing. Yeah.
Do you think Jarrett had too much of that TNA Impact scent on him? Or do you think he was considered?
I can't. I haven't discussed that, and the only person deep down who knows is Vince, because I've talked to people who are close to Vince, and when I asked about the Eric thing, the answer is we don't have a good answer for you on this one. Other than it looks good for the stock market. And that's that was my first thing. Well, their stock and the stock is up a little bit right now because of the moves. But, it's just like they were going to be, they have falling. So what do you do when you're falling? You make a change that looks good for the stock market. I think it's really telling that, especially because it's the Fox show that Bischoff's got, that they didn't go with Levesque, because obviously he knows the product. He's in tune with the product. He knows the talent better than anyone. He knows what they can do. He knows what they can't do. He knows how to hide them. You're going to have a guy, one of the problems with TNA was that, once D'Amore was gone the first time, as far as the booking went, is that you had a lot of guys who were, and when Jeff actually, Jeff too, too is, Jeff was, has his good and his bad, but they kind of had an idea, okay, if we put this guy with this guy, this will work, because they could kind of visualize how the match would go. And then when they were gone and they went with other people, those people had no clue of like match, and also probably didn't care, because it's like in the old days, match quality didn't really matter. But now, unless you're WWE and mainstream, match quality means a lot, because that's your calling card. Mm-hmm. That's why Ring of Honor is faltering so bad, is because they're just not having the match quality that they used to have. And Ring of Honor was built on match quality, and without it, it's just like, you can try to do other things, but that audience just wants match quality. That's going to be your calling card if you're non-WWE. And even WWE match quality has never been more important.
Yeah, you mentioned Triple H, and that was the first thing that I thought was it would make sense to me for it to be Heyman and Triple H. But then,
yeah, me too.
But then when I thought a little bit more about it, I wondered if it's almost like if Triple H is going to eventually be the successor, him failing at something like this would probably be bad. And
that's the conclusion I came to as well.
Yeah.
That I think that there was the fear of him failing. He can't afford to fail in a big public way, because he's going to be the successor. So, it's in a sense protecting him, even though he was the best guy for the short term for the job, and the long term.
It's probably who fans wanted the most, especially those who follow NXT closely. They probably thought, why is he not the guy?
Yeah, that was that of all the names, that's the name I heard the most from people, of like, why not? And it's like, obviously there's a reason, because obviously he knows this, he knows the talent better than anyone. He's in tune with what's going on. He's produced, you got to give him credit. There's no better shows than those NXT shows he produced, because, you just go in there, 5 matches, every one with an awesome worker pretty much. Let them go and do their thing, and those guys are highly, highly motivated, and you get these incredible shows, and it's like,
You know, I mean, at least, but they're incredible modern shows. You know what I mean? They're not like somebody trying to do wrestling from another era that they know. I mean, and it's not the era that he grew up with. So, I mean, that's you got to give him credit for that in the sense that the wrestling that he grew up with and liked and what he thought was talent 20 years ago, well, no, what I thought was talent 20 years ago, who could get over, is very different from talent that gets over now. You know, I mean, we used to be, you would see, a real physically impressive big guy, and you'd go, well, as long as he's got a modicum of charisma, we can do something with him. And small guys, unless it's a unique person like Ray, it's like, yeah, I mean, you can bring them in and they might be fun to watch, but they're not going to be stars. And you can't have that mentality anymore because it's a completely different business because the fans don't have that mentality. The fans want action, and they don't want average action because they're spoiled as hell with so many great matches that you got to, if you can't keep up with the standard, you're going to have a lot of, the people aren't going to support you that strongly.
One other thing that I thought about, and then we can move on, when it comes to them doing stuff for the stock market, like you said, it's a little interesting to me because they've been trying to tell us, at least their marketing, YouTube views and all that stuff, that they're actually super popular right now.
Vince knows better.
But then
and these reactions show.
Right.
It's like I always said when this was going on, even when Vince was giving the excuses, it's like Vince knows better.
Right. So all that stuff is just public facing.
Well, you have to if you're running the company. You can't go in there and just go, I'm 74 and I'm out of touch. I mean, you can't say that when you're a publicly traded company, and you have to go in there and go, well, look at our YouTube views, even though they were falling too. But and yeah, house shows are down, but we understand why. But, you can only go so many quarters with these excuses before they're going to start asking questions. And they were starting to ask questions. I mean, I was getting more questions, like I said, than ever before from people who are starting to go like, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. And so then they bring in, Heyman and Bischoff, which buys them time and gets everyone excited because it's like, oh, yeah, Vince is teaming up with these guys that were like, you got like the three kings of the 90s, and they're all going to be together in WWE producing television, and they're going to get on Fox and all that. The Fox thing still could be a real big deal. I mean, I look at those baseball ratings on Saturday, and I just don't think that wrestling, I think that wrestling still can beat those numbers. I mean, I look at like UFC on Fox compared to UFC on ESPN and UFC on FS1, and there was a big difference. I mean, I know they're higher quality cards and everything, but there's still a big difference. I don't know how much it's going to matter, but I mean, at first, I'm sure at first it'll be big, and then after that, by spring of 2020, who knows where the business will be, because there's a million unanswered questions, and that's really when we're going to have everything kind of figured out. Let's see. The Daniel Bryan three-way with Woods and Otis was fun for what it was. I thought Roman Reigns and Dolph Ziggler was fun, but too short. But everything's inherently too short because
8 minutes
the doctrine of everything. So it's like that's just what it's got to be. But I thought that Roman Reigns and Ziggler was actually very well done. The Kevin Owens stuff was well done, but it's kind of weird that he comes in as a babyface, then he turns heel in April, and now we're in July, and he's already turning back face to the exact old character. It's just it's like, I think too many turns, but I mean, the heel turn was never supposed to happen, and this is what was supposed to happen. So now we're going back to this. So they're trying to make him into Steve Austin.
It was a hell of a babyface turn. I mean.
Yeah,
he was put in there with Dolph that everyone hates. That made him a babyface.
He did a good promo. That whole promo thing, the crowd really enjoyed that promo thing where he's basically blaming Shane McMahon for hogging up all the TV time. And
yes, but my point is he turned babyface on last week's show. And literally the turn was he was in the ring with somebody that everybody hated. And so he was a babyface. Yeah. That was the turn. Pretty much.
Yeah. Balor Nakamura was a very strong win for Nakamura. Good match too.
That was great.
Also short, but yeah, Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to do Balor Nakamura's program.
That one got a fair amount of time.
Yeah, 9 minutes. It was all right. I like the tease count outs. I like the way that was done. And then Bayley, Nikki Cross face to face was what it should have been. That was all right.
Except now we have another match that is being built around what is so-and-so going to think when you cost them the title. I don't think we need that in two different programs.
Yeah, but this one, again, this was not anything planned. So this is kind of a situation where you're trying to make the best out of a bad situation. So in that case, you can't really hold that against them. Things happened that caused this. What else? That's pretty much it.
Well, you could have made something of the bad situation if you hadn't beaten Nikki Cross last week. You could have just had not have Alexa wrestle and have Bayley face Nikki. What if they want the title on Alexa? She can win it next month. What the hell's the hurry?
Yeah, maybe they just didn't want. Maybe that's the idea, is for Alexa to win. In which case they had whatever it was. I don't think they were looking at. I think that they wanted Alexa in the match. So because of that, they couldn't do Bayley and Nikki Cross as a single unless Alexa was completely incapacitated, which she's not. So that's the decision. Let's see. Actually, the biggest thing on that show last night was the freaking Chad Gable and Jack Gallagher match on 205 Live. That match was really good. I had people tell me it's this 5-star match. It's match of the year, and it was a really it was like a 17-minute, very well done match. I mean, it was really good. But I mean, you talk about no heat. You were talking about AJ and Ricochet or something like that on the pay-per-view. Didn't really get much reaction. That was Hulk Hogan and The Rock from Toronto compared to this. This was deathly quiet, no matter what they did, other than, there was some fans, and it's very few, but there were fans kind of by the end that did pick up on the fact that it really was a good match. And the announcers certainly called it like it was a classic. And when it was over, they panned over, and the announcers were giving the show, the match, a standing ovation. It really was Chad Gable was absolutely fantastic in the match, and Jack Gallagher has really great timing in doing what he does. He knows when to do stuff. So they actually have awesome chemistry together. I just wish that people cared, and they really didn't. But so the announcers are all up giving them a standing ovation, and they're talking about, there's a standing ovation here, and it's yeah, the 3 frickin' announcers, and there's a guy over there and one guy over there, and there were people standing, but they weren't, but almost none of them were clapping. They were just kind of standing because they just did the finish. And it was another really bad crowd. Let's see. Black and Cesaro was not as good as the pay-per-view match. It was all right. Liv Morgan, obviously, doing the Shane thing was just so, I don't know. It was exactly what I expected to be, which wasn't that good. The town meeting.
It was 13 minutes of just
nothing.
Putting over Shane, basically.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing at all. Just making Charlotte Flair look like a kiss ass, making Buddy Murphy look like a kiss ass.
Everybody looked like a geek so that Shane McMahon could get over. That's what that was. 13 minutes.
Yeah, well, Roman Reigns was able to not look like a geek, but pretty much everyone else did, yeah. So Liv Morgan and Charlotte. So Liv Morgan is doing a makeover, and I don't know what that means, but they're revamping her character, which they probably should.
Sounds like no more green tongue the way they described it.
Maybe no more dyed hair like that either. But yeah, I'm going to guess no more green tongue, and she's going to be real, whatever real means. Bayley Ember Moon for the women's championship at SummerSlam, which, I mean, that actually should be a good match. I mean, Ember Moon is really good. So it's a lot better opponent for Bayley than Alexa Bliss as far as match goes. Much, much better. So that's good there. Nakamura's going to work with Ali for the Intercontinental, which, should be good. What else do they got? So Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston has still not had a good match on pay-per-view other than the Daniel Bryan match. Like the Ziggler stuff was never that good. The Joe match wasn't that good. The Owens match was nothing special. Whatever. He just doesn't have good matches. They're good. He doesn't have great matches on pay-per-view. Maybe Kofi Kingston. Maybe Woods and Big E against Elias and Joe for the tag team title. That one I don't know for sure, but from that 6-man tag, I think that's kind of where they're going. That Iconics match with Kairi Sane and Asuka.
Oh.
What a ridiculous. You watch that and you just go, what kind of silly, goofy rules are these? It's like, the thing is like people grew up with the idea that title doesn't change on a count out. But it's like absolutely preposterous. Even the title doesn't change hands on a DQ is ridiculous, because if you want to look at this like real, all you got to do is like hit the ref and get DQ'd. Or as this match showed, all you got to do is like jump out of the ring, stand there for 10 seconds and get counted out, and they can never win your championship. So why do these heels that are supposed to be cowardly, why do they even fight? Why don't they just kick the ref or just jump out of the ring? It's like it exposes.
Well, you got your wish on SmackDown. They just jumped out of the ring.
It was ridiculous. It was so stupid. So, just the idea that the rules are like... it's funny because it's like...
clearly the idea is to set up the rematch with no DQ, no count-out.
Yeah, but it's just stupid I'm just talking about from a logical standpoint. If you want logic, how can you have rules like this with any logic? The thing is like, because like we're Americans and we think that like the world is like us, we don't realize that like the UK copied America, which, because in the old UK this wasn't the case, but it's WWE and everyone who copied WWE, and which included the UK, but and I guess probably Australia too. But like Japan and Mexico, titles change hands on DQs, titles change hands on countouts, because they weren't influenced by the stupid American rules. Even when I was a kid, like WWE was the only territory where title didn't change hands on a countout. Now, title didn't change hands on a DQ was pretty much universal from, the Thesla Molini match. So that was like 55-ish. So that was the case. But the countout, it's just like, the countout made no sense because all you do is walk out of the ring and get counted out, and you keep your title. But WWE liked those fluke things for Bruno, where Bruno could lose matches in many different ways and retain the championship. So they would do count out finishes and they would do blood stoppage finishes, and the title can only change hands on pinfall or submissions, and they used that for, the ability to do multiple rematches in a program, which they don't even do that anymore. But those rules just are still the same old rules. But yeah, it was just ridiculous. And then Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler, I guess they didn't even have a finish. Kevin Owens just gave Shane McMahon a stunner and ran away.
Technically, that should be a count out.
But they didn't do a count out.
They didn't do a count out, but that should have been the finish. He ran away. He fled.
Yeah, but shouldn't it have been a DQ when Shane pulled him out of the ring when he had Ziggler pinned first?
Well, I guess so, but they've done many times where a guy gets pulled out of the ring that's not a DQ.
But many times it has been also.
Yes. There's no rhyme or reason to these rules.
Yeah. Many times it's a DQ now. Originally, it was never a DQ like 20 years ago when they would do it. That was a spot in every single television main event. It was never a DQ. And then I think people were just in the office were just going like, this is so stupid. We do this in every match. And they overdo like everything. It gets overdone because it worked. And then Impact, of course, because, Impact did in every freaking world title match for like 20 straight years. It seemed like that, had that spot where the referee got pulled out, which was like, isn't that like stupid? Shouldn't that be a DQ? And then WWE started like DQing, every time you did it, which...
What did the Smackdown show?
50-year-old guys. God, I've seen so much wrestling in the last 36 hours.
I liked it.
The Shawn Michaels segment was great, that's for sure. I don't know where it's going because Shawn's not wrestling. People have been asking me. Shawn is not wrestling on SummerSlam. Ziggler, the last I heard, was not wrestling Miz, even though everything looks like he is. But Ziggler does have a match on SummerSlam against somebody, so maybe that's going to come out next week.
So they shot a great segment with Shawn Michaels, Ziggler, and Miz, and none of them are wrestling each other? What?
That's as of today, yes.
So what was the point of it?
I don't
like.
know.
I really liked it.
Okay, do you want me to tell you a funny story about this show? So this show is completely different than the show that was written.
Yes.
Because Vince McMahon showed up at 4 o'clock and decided that he didn't like the show, and they redid the show. Vince redid the show at 4 o'clock, before. So everything changed. That's why all the stuff that was advertised, the Bryan Danielson speech and Shawn Michaels announcing and all that stuff that they talked about for all week and then didn't happen, is because Vince changed his mind. So if you liked it, then, that's Vince. But it changes every direction. So they did a whole bunch of stuff that, who knows where that is leading. Let me see. So this is my Dragon Gate notes. Let me see my Smackdown notes. That's Dragon Gate. Hold on. Here we are. Not a lot of wrestling on the show. I mean, there's like two matches and a bunch of short stuff. And the two matches were, not anything special. I mean, Kofi Kingston and Joe was nothing. Just an excuse for Randy Orton to interfere. I did like the Randy Orton, Kofi Kingston verbiage in their promo, though.
That was good.
I thought that was pretty interesting stuff. Charlotte Flair, of course, is going to wrestle Trish Stratus, so that's out. Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens didn't even have a match after that was advertised for the whole show.
I just like my favorite part of the show where Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville have a meeting backstage, and they explain that next week they get a tag team title match.
And if they win, they get a title match.
If they win, they get a title match.
Yeah, that should have been edited, and it wasn't.
I don't think that was a pre-tape. I think that was live.
Oh, maybe
they practiced that thing all afternoon, I was told, and they still messed it up.
Well, maybe they should have pre-taped it.
Like, why would you practice all afternoon when you can just do a damn pre-tape, and if it doesn't look good, you just do it again? Just get it over with.
Well, it may have been Vince changed.
It was like a 2-minute thing. Not even that.
That wasn't even 2 minutes. It was about 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
That was a classic.
Yeah. Nakamura and Apollo Crews. Actually, Nakamura and Apollo Crews was a good match.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was short, but it was good. So, yeah. I mean, the SmackDown show. I mean, the Shane and Kevin Owens stuff is good. It was an easy to watch show for sure. It wasn't, but not much in the way of wrestling on WWE television this week. I mean, Charlotte Flair Ember Moon match ended up going like 45 seconds, and they built up the Bayley and Ember Moon thing and all that, their championship match, and still don't know where Roman Reigns fits into SummerSlam.
Maybe he'll face Dolph Ziggler or The Miz. Well, let's talk about this news here. So we
probably should talk about SummerSlam so everybody can get really mad.
Why are they going to get mad?
Because of who Dolph Ziggler's wrestling.
This is going to make people mad?
Oh, yeah. Don't you think?
No.
Okay. Well,
because they'd rather see The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler?
No.
I'm trying to think of a match that would make people mad to not get Miz and Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah. So no, it's just the funny story because how this all transpired. As we've been talking about, Dolph Ziggler has an opponent at this show, and I didn't know who it was. I was just told it's not The Miz and it's not Shawn Michaels. So that's what I was told. So then somehow, now, did you ever mention Bill Goldberg's name as an opponent for Dolph Ziggler?
I mean, I may have speculated about it because he's mentioned Goldberg's name in every single promo he's done.
Well, there you go. Well, so
and the fact that Goldberg, here's what I did say because I believe this with every ounce of my being. Goldberg guaranteed wants to avenge that match with The Undertaker.
Everyone wants him to. Well, I shouldn't say that. Everyone who supports him wants him to.
Sure.
Yeah, true.
So
probably because of what you said, some people must have written somewhere that I said that Bill Goldberg was going to be wrestling Dolph Ziggler. This is like several days ago. And I said, it's only a couple days ago. And I said, I never reported that. And somebody was trying, who's not even worth talking about, but started like a thing of like, I talked to WWE and they hate Bill Goldberg and that's not going to happen. Which I knew they didn't hate Bill Goldberg.
They hated Bill Goldberg? He just had a match in Saudi Arabia.
Well, in theory, even though it never happened, there was like some horrible stuff after the match, even though, in fact, all that happened was he knocked himself out and the match was terrible. But there was everyone understood that. It was, it was an unfortunate situation and the match really sucked bad. Okay. So that's out of the way. So I said, I never said that. I don't know where this is coming from. So thank you to these idiots, because I got a call from someone in WWE who was talking to me about how did you know that it was Bill Goldberg? And I said, I didn't know it was Bill Goldberg. They didn't realize that I said I didn't know, because all these people had said that I said it when I never said it in the first place. So, in fact, it is Bill Goldberg, and that's how I found out. Isn't that wonderful?
I am just baffled that anybody could ask you how you figured it out, because literally the only reason that I even brought it up was because Ziggler has done like 3 promos in the last 3 weeks, and he's mentioned Goldberg in every single one of them.
But he also mentioned Shawn Michaels in every one of them.
Well, I know, but like, how could you not speculate that could potentially be his opponent at SummerSlam or wherever?
Oh yeah, I mean especially when you know it's not Miz. Yeah, I mean it would make sense. So that match, even though they announced Miz, and I don't know how they're going to get to it, it is in fact Dolph Ziggler and Bill Goldberg.
And why people would be angry about that, I have no idea. I would much rather see Goldberg destroy Dolph Ziggler than a Dolph Ziggler-Miz match.
Yeah. And also, Daniel Bryan against Roman Reigns.
So Daniel Bryan's the mysterious tipper.
Wasn't that a really corny-looking bad segment?
It was the stupidest thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
It looked, I mean, like, when Vince said on that conference call about how we're sophisticated, and I watched that, and it's like, I just watched Road 2, and that was sophisticated. And then this stuff is like, I don't know what it is. It is just what it is. But
I was just baffled, because as goofy as it was that stuff got tipped over on Roman Reigns, like, then he's just standing there, and he's fine, and he just wanders off looking over his shoulder. Like, he didn't look for an assailant. He was mildly concerned. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a really weird visual. I didn't really understand it. So let's see. So
all right, here's the rest of the card: Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Universal title.
Hold on. Let me get, because I know there's. Let me just get to where. Okay, here we are. I got it. Okay.
All right,
Yes.
Becky Lynch, Natalya for the Raw Women's title.
Okay, that will be a submission match, even though Natalya won't challenge her to a submission match because she won't accept it. Actually, will be.
Okay. Bayley versus Ember Moon for the SmackDown Women's title.
Oh boy, how did you like that finish on SmackDown?
You know what? They did this a few months ago, maybe even less, when I forget who it was, but somebody else was going into a show as a weak challenger, and they beat him in a tag match. And I was baffled then. And now I'm baffled again.
Okay, I can actually tell you why.
Okay, please tell me, because before the match even started, Bayley told Ember, "You're only in this match because I gave you the shot." So they told you...
Yeah, that Bayley just picked her as a challenger.
They told you that she's only there as a challenger because of charity, and then the next thing they do is a tag match where she gets pinned clean in the middle?
Yes, now I cannot give you... She looked really good in the match, though. I mean, she did. She looked good.
Okay, but she got beaten. So what's the explanation for this?
Okay, so this is the explanation. Okay. There were 3 Raw acts on the show. There was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. There was Drew McIntyre, and there was AJ Styles. And they were going to beat Drew McIntyre, and they were going to beat AJ Styles. So they felt that they had to have...
Dave,
yes,
this is
Raw win.
This is the thing that drives me crazy about this company. It's overthinking everything that they do.
Hey, look, it took a lot of time for me to figure that out, too.
Dude, like, nobody even knows who's on what's brand anymore. They didn't even mention the wild card. Like, Roman Reigns, I'm pretty sure, is a SmackDown guy. He's been there like twice now. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter who's where. And to do a stupid finish because there's like 1% of the people out there that even noticed that only the Raw people were doing jobs. You're just getting in your own damn way. It's stupid.
Well, you're right. It's when I watched it, I was like, what the hell are they thinking? I mean, of all people, you know, and so here's the other part of it is that Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross are going to be in the women's tag team title match, so they won the tag team match. That's the other reason. So, but it's like, what's more important? And why do they even need to be in that tag team title match anyway?
Neither of those things. I mean, if you have a situation where like 1% of people are going to notice and like 1% of the 1% are going to care that all of the Raw wrestlers lost, whereas 99% of the people watching are going to think it's stupid that Ember Moon lost.
Actually, most people that didn't grow up on any kind of logical booking.
Still, you go with the 99%, not the 1% of 1%.
It's not 9%. It's not 99%. Most of them are just going to watch and go, who the fuck cares, because none of it makes sense anyway.
Well, if that's the case, then you certainly don't have to be a SmackDown person because you're afraid someone's going to be concerned that too many Raw people lost.
Yeah, I know. It's just none of it. It's just they don't book to make sense. So worrying about. I remember someone in the company told me this a couple of years ago when I did this similar speech, and just says, "Look, we don't even think this deeply about it, and it's not going to make sense."
Well, clearly they do because they beat Ember Moon because they wanted to beat a SmackDown person and not a Raw person. Well, that's thinking way too hard about this, about the wrong stuff.
Well, maybe they think about the wrong stuff. Look, they're in their own weird world. I mean, there's nothing more telling that I've learned than watching frickin' Jon Moxley in G1 and thinking about how they're doing this because it's like wherever they're going is where they think is the right thing for business. And if this was WWE and you had the same thing, they'd be beating that guy to death just to prove that they were better than wherever he came from.
Anyway, back to SummerSlam. Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton for the WWE title. Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon. If Kevin loses, he quits. I don't even know why they bother. Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt, AJ Styles, Ricochet. Don't even mention that word.
The Fiend.
Another branding. They mentioned it 100 times on the show.
The Fiend. They keep saying it. Even the little rabbit said that it was the Fiend.
AJ Styles, Ricochet, U.S. title.
Yes.
Dolph Ziggler, Goldberg, Trish versus Charlotte Flair.
That's an interesting match in a weird way. I thought on SmackDown when they did the thing, it was one of those things that I always hate when Charlotte Flair's just talking and talking, and poor Trish is just standing there, and she can't say a word because she's not scripted to say a word. And Charlotte Flair is going on and on about minivans and changing diapers, and she's just standing there, and you know, it just was. And then she finally makes her comeback, and it's like Trish Stratus, who's clearly nervous, doing a script of words and that she would never say in real life, and knows it, and was saying them with no conviction because she's not an actress. And even if she was, it was a bad script. It was terrible verbiage to begin with. So she's stumbling through terrible verbiage after having to stand there forever while Charlotte Flair does this oratory. Oh God, it was. And Jerry Lawler's there, and it's like they should have just said, Jerry, save this segment, because Jerry Lawler can do anything with a microphone. Even at 69 years old, I think he'll be 70 in November. I believe that you could just say, Jerry, just make sure that like this never gets out of control, and stand up for Trish and keep this, whatever, and help her through. Instead, no, Jerry, you're not scripted to say anything, so don't say nothing, and just like gawk at Trish Stratus or whatever it is he's supposed to be doing. And anyway, I thought that segment ended up being, it wasn't too good, but whatever. I think that there's. Hopefully the match will be good. I think there's real high anticipation for the match. They did like a similar generation versus generation match in Impact a couple of months ago with Tessa Blanchard and Gail Kim. That was freaking great. So it's a high standard to live up to. So, but anyway, yeah, that's the match.
And we also have the Aleister Black Sami Zayn match, which I guess is not official, but they kind of announced it.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, it's not. It's not official as far as them announcing it, but it's in fact On the books, yes.
So that's your matches.
Okay, so here's the other ones. Let's see, Aleister Black, Roman Reigns we talked about. The Iconics in a 4-way against Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, who, if you remember, were supposed to wrestle them and win and then get a title match, but since Vince changed the show and they pulled that off, and then perhaps it wasn't even on the show, and who knows, because the whole show was changed anyway. And also the fourth team, which is Kyrie and Asuka. And then Drew Gulak against Oni Lorcan for the Cruiserweight title, which I presume will be announced Tuesday of next week. And not 100%, but pretty much Drew McIntyre, Cedric Alexander, and possibly that's 14. So if there's a 15th match, it'll be Nakamura against Ali, since Nakamura lost the non-title match.
Yeah, so this show is not going 4 hours.
Oh God, no! It's not. It's not going 4. Maybe 6.
I'm talking the main show's not going 4.
Well, 3 of those matches will probably be on the pre-show.
So I guess we also have to talk about how when SmackDown goes to Fox in October, we're going to do a brand split again. Can you imagine a draft?
No. I don't think they're going to do a draft. I think it's just going to be like the rosters that they have now. They may tweak some guys, but it's essentially the rosters that we have now that we're not adhering to at all are going to be adhered to in October.
Oh, yeah?
That way, well, that's the idea. I mean, it'll change. I mean, look, if ratings aren't good, everyone's going to be on SmackDown because, you know how that goes. Vince will just go like, hey, we need more star power on SmackDown, so they'll send all the Raw guys to SmackDown or something. But right now, that's the theory is that we're back to what we had before come October.
Any other SmackDown thoughts?
On the show?
Yeah.
Let me see. That's something else. SmackDown. What do I got?
Let's talk about how awesome that Randy Orton video was.
Yeah, that was really good.
I loved it.
Yeah, I thought
the best thing on the show.
Yeah, the Randy Orton video was really good. I liked it too. It was, it's funny because when he was all pissed and throwing his temper tantrum 10 years ago and called him stupid and all that, it's like 10 years later they made a storyline out of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Let's see. Kevin Owens is going to, Kevin Owens did a promo. It's pretty good. Set up Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre. They had a good match. It was a good match. Owens won with a stunner since he's wrestling Shane, so he gets to win. That was one of the big matches where the SmackDown guy beat the Raw guy. And then Dolph did his promo.
Who's Shane's life coach?
They didn't say, did they?
No, they haven't said. Is this person going to become a character?
I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. Yeah, he's got a life coach.
God, maybe it'll be Jinder.
Oh God.
They just signed the guy to a new contract. They got to do something with him.
Oh God.
Maybe someone on the internet will say you reported that now. They'll call you and say, how'd you find out Jinder was a life coach?
I know, really. Yeah, so Dolph Ziggler did a promo, and he brought up Bill Goldberg, Mick Foley, Shawn Michaels, and The Miz. So, and they announced he's going to wrestle The Miz. So there you go. And he called Miz the WWE's Kardashian sister. Is he like a Kardashian sister? I never watched that show, so I
don't think he's one of the Kardashians.
Well, I know that. I mean, but is he like a Kardashian sister? Like, does he act like Kardashian sister?
Hollywood, and I don't know.
I mean, I don't know because I don't watch that show. I did watch it years ago a couple times, but it just like was so vapid to me that it was kind of like. And I don't watch Miz and Maurice, more than like 5 minutes of it, even though they're kind of entertaining to me. It's just. I don't got the time, but I don't know. I like Miz on that show. Actually, I like them all everyone on that show. I think Maurice is great, but on that show. Anyway, let's see. Aleister Black's waiting for a fight. We got the tag match with, like I said, Ember Moon looked really good in that tag match. And then Bayley. So then Bayley, okay, so Ember Moon gets pinned. Then Bayley gives her a belly to belly after. Like a heel, but she's not really a heel because she's smiling. It's like, what was the point of that?
I have no idea.
I was already confused about Ember losing, and then she gets the belly-to-belly. There's a few people booing Bailey, but everyone else is just kind of quiet because it's like they know it's not a turn, but she's just acting like a dick, you know?
She's getting a revenge because Ember gave her finish the week prior. It's just revenge.
But no, okay, you're right, but no, people don't even remember that.
Well, it was brought up in the promo, so they at least told you earlier that this might happen.
I guess, but you could tell from the crowd reaction, the live crowd doesn't remember any of that. They didn't know what to do. Sami Zayn did an interview. That was about Aleister Black. Daniel Bryan did an interview where he didn't say anything and left. Then the Lawler thing. Then the Finn Balor thing. Oh, I tell you what. If I never see a match where in the middle of a match, the lights go out and then some babyface gets distracted and he can't even remember his match and he gets super kicked and pinned. Oh, God, I hope I never see that again. I mean, all it does, it just makes the babyface look so bad. So anyway, Nakamura and Ali had a good 2 minutes. Actually, it's a hell of a 2 minutes. Great idea. Book them for 2 minutes. And then Kofi and AJ. Kofi and AJ was a good match. I liked it. A lot of interference and everything, but good looking finish. Springboard into the Trouble in Paradise and all that. So that whole show was redone at that they were still working on the second hour of the show while the show was going on the air.
Sounds like Nitro.
It was exactly like Nitro. I guess Vince Vince just redid it. Like he's talking about how he's not in the weeds anymore and he's going to let Bischoff and Heyman do everything. And then he comes in for the second week in a row and changes the whole show. Because he didn't think it had enough continuity with last week and it didn't build SummerSlam. And then he puts on a show that I don't think had any continuity with last week. It did build SummerSlam though. I will say that. So, great news. So there you go.
Let's do